All right, welcome everybody to another installment of Honest and Uneducated. This is a special Tuesday installment, and we're pretty much just going to be breaking down everything that happened over the weekend on DC Fandome. Pretty much figured that it was 8 hours of content from DC, so we might as well pretty much get some React content out of that because there's plenty to talk about. So joining me today to cover this stuff is none other than Rick Metz. How you doing today, Rick?
Doing pretty well. How are you, man?
Feeling out pretty good. Not too bad. We also got another special guest here today. We got Jon Knight with us. How you doing today, John?
Good, good. How you guys doing?
You know what?
Pretty swell.
I think we're all doing pretty good after Fandome. I mean, if you're a DC fan, right? There's
Super
plenty
hyped.
going on. You know, it was I didn't know what to expect from it. Especially, did you both get a chance to watch the whole event? Because I watched it all the way through.
I did not watch the whole event.
I watched most of it all the way through. I took a couple breaks here and there.
Did you? Well, there was some stuff that wasn't probably super essential content wise. Like some of the panels were better than others, we'll say. I don't think there was really like a true negative, especially if you want to go and compare it to like Comic-Con at home. I think they did a much better job with that. Because John, you said you actually watched at least some stuff from Comic-Con at home, right? Because I said a couple weeks ago, I was talking to Rick, I didn't even watch any of it.
Yeah, so Comic-Con was, I mean, it felt like just a collection of YouTube links, which were just a collection of Zoom meetings, which was kind of cool. I mean, you get some inside information, like they did a David Goyer one, and being a DC fan, like hearing some stuff about insights about Man of Steel and the Dark Knight movies was cool. But yeah, it wasn't as good as I had hoped for.
The one thing I did hear, and I still want to actually go back and watch these though, that the Comic-Con at home event actually had what I feel like are true panels. They had those hour-long actual panels. Like the one for The Boys season 2 was like a nice hour-long panel apparently. And then I guess they had which I didn't even know about this until I heard someone talking about it either yesterday or today. They had like a 15th anniversary of Constantine, like the Keanu Reeves movie. So they had like an hour-long panel for that. Like those are two things I know that like those would be cool to watch. So I might go back and actually watch those. I don't know about the Boys one just because like I don't know, like in a week or two the show's going to be out, but I guess it'd still be fun to go back and watch that panel because that's the one thing that I would say with the Fandome event and all the panels they had. Like they were all kind of like you said, you know, just like a Zoom meeting kind of thing, but these were all pre-recorded Zoom meetings and they had a lot of editing and everything that went through them. And there's been some grumblings online, not like a bunch of people hating on it, because like overall I'd say they did a pretty great job for the whole 8 hours. It was an all-day event, and I think for the most part it went off flawlessly. But what did you guys think of the actual like pre-recordedness of the panels that you did watch? Did that bother any of you?
No.
Yeah, I thought it was actually pretty dope. I mean, it's pretty cool to see guests that you like in a Zoom meeting, you know, chatting with each other. That's cool and all, but at least from a viewer entertainment standpoint, they put some production quality behind that stuff. Like it didn't look like, you know, Matt Reeves was just standing against a green screen and kind of just thrown into a place. Like it kind of looked like he was there. And so I appreciate the effort that they threw into making it seem kind of seamless. But then yeah, you did have some even like the Wonder Woman panel, which I'm sure we'll get into, but the Wonder Woman panel, like they had matching backgrounds for everybody and like it all synced up. You could tell they spent some time on it, which I appreciated.
No, I agree. Yeah, because I mean that's the thing. The only times it ever bothered me was like they tried to make it seem like it was live, which was like kind of annoying because everyone knows it wasn't live.
Yeah.
Which like it wasn't like a huge thing. Like and that'd probably be the only detractor I had, just because I do like, despite as I said, I didn't watch the Comic-Con panels, but those technically weren't live either. But when they're done live, like normally at a typical con, those are live panels. You have the fans and the audience and everything. So despite you not being there, you get the live feel of it. With these, I didn't get a live feel from it. I got like a forced live feel. Like they wanted it to feel live, but it clearly wasn't. And then like so you could totally tell like through a lot of the panels that like they edited them. Like they would do like a quick cut to like someone else real quick. Like it's like some people got cut. It was very few times, but it seemed like some people like literally got cut off in what they were saying. Like they were gonna say
Mhm.
more, but we didn't get to see that. Like
Yeah.
because I gotta imagine like some of those panels, like especially like the Suicide Squad one, which we'll get into later. But like that was probably the best overall panel. But like like they went through a lot of trouble for that, and I guarantee you, there's probably like an hour-long version of that somewhere. Like I feel like there was a lot of times where there were very quick cuts, especially in that one. I feel like it was the most predominant to see that like one person would talk and it'd be like they only get to say one or two sentences and they just cut to someone else real quick. You know, like small gripe, and I think it still overall went over pretty flawlessly, especially again, not to like dog on the Comic Con at home thing, but like it was better than that one. And for DC Fandome, I think being kind of the first iteration of this type of event altogether, give it a big thumbs up. Honestly,
Oh yeah,
like
Yeah.
I mean,
Agreed.
right there
'cause
with you.
they had no. It's not like this is something everybody does every year. So them being the first ones to like really do any type of like big virtual con event, I think they pulled it off pretty well. Like in all honesty.
Yeah.
So, Rick, do you got anything you want to add about that at all?
No, I mean, I thought it was well done. Like I said, I didn't really watch all of it, but from what I could see, it was pretty awesome.
No, I agree. So
Well,
with
they. I was just gonna throw in real
yeah,
quick, like you were saying, like they had this thing meticulously scheduled for eight
they
hours of
they did.
content to fit so much information in. Like you can see where they were like, okay, we're gonna edit all this down to this short. I was shocked. I was honestly shocked at how much content they tried to throw in, and because everything was like in 20 or 30-minute bursts or less.
Yeah.
And I really thought, going into it that it might be a little longer, but they squeezed so much into it.
That
So
is one good there was a variety of things too. They're like things I didn't really expect. Because there were a lot of them, like, yeah, they had descriptions of like the whole lineup on the site and everything. But a lot of it, like, we didn't know what any of it was. Like some of it was just like, the 80th year celebration of, Wonder Woman, or like some like the boss thing. Like we didn't know what to expect from any of it. We knew what to expect from a Suicide Squad panel. We knew what to expect from
yeah.
a W Games panel. But the smaller ones that weren't those big marquee things, I think
Mhm.
like a lot of people going into it, probably like myself too. I probably thought I was thinking initially like, well, I can probably skip this hour, because like in between Wonder Woman and I know Batman was at the end, but let's just say that I could skip like everything, and then this comes on then. But then like I just had it on in the background, and
Yeah.
like those other smaller ones were actually like good. Then they had the one
Yeah.
where like all the different voice actors for Batman. Did you catch that one?
Yep.
Like that one was pretty cool.
That's different language, foreign
Yeah.
language, Batman and stuff. Yeah, that was
Right.
great.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because it was cool. Like, I guess if you didn't see this one, Rick, so I don't know. Probably the most interesting thing that, and it makes sense that I kind of got from that whole, the different voices of Batman from like, they'll have one in like Italy, Batman, like
Like
Portuguese
Portuguese.
Batman. Yeah,
Yeah.
weird that you said Portuguese.
Dude,
And
we said that at the exact same time.
that whole thing.
That's weird.
It's like
But it
you
was
two host a show together.
yeah, almost. Like but it was cool because like some of them were saying like they would voice Batman for like live action and cartoon versions of Batman. So they would like one voice actor in one country, I don't remember which one this was, but they said like voicing Batman even for them, even though they're the same voice actor for Batman in like Italy, they have to approach like Christian Bale's voice dub in their language differently than they would approach Ben Affleck's Batman. And
Yeah.
like, just things like that. I thought it was just interesting because like one of them said like, so with Ben's, because he did the voice modulator that you and I both like a lot, Rick.
Yeah.
He just like recorded himself, but then just cranked the bass all the way up on his voice.
Oh,
And like that's just
interesting.
how he did Ben's voice. Like
Yeah.
then they played it and it was like, sounds pretty good. It was good. So I thought that was pretty good. They did a good job of making those like what seemed like skippable panels like actually like pretty interesting and like cool.
Didn't seem like there was a lot of like filler material.
Well, yeah, like, because all that stuff obviously was the filler material,
Yeah.
but it was actually, like, entertaining. Like, it was better than a 22 episode season of The Flash, where 10 of those episodes were you could have literally skipped them and missed nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was better filler than a lot of network television has, in my opinion. Like, but that's just me.
What and when you think about the fact that this is kind of DC's answer to not having Comic-Con this year, it kind of gives you that Comic-Con feel, that feeling of, yeah, there are 4 or 5 huge panels during Comic-Con that I want to see.
Yeah.
But what do you do the rest of the time? You go
Right.
see some of the smaller panels, or you go shop, or you go get artist autographs and stuff. And so some of that isn't possible, but they did provide a wide variety of things to try and keep that interest.
No, true, yeah, because that's the one thing when Comic-Con at home was going on, like, well, leading up to it, and I was telling Rick, like, I don't even know how you would go about doing, like, Comic-Con at home just because, like, it's about being there
Yeah, it's the
and
Mhm.
experience.
yeah, and, like, walking not just for, like, like, the panels and stuff. Because like I said, I watch a lot of the panels from, other Comic-Con years just at home on YouTube, and I still get a lot out of it, but, like, I mean being at Comic-Con and walking
Like the
the floor,
cosplaying
yeah, the
and the
cosplay, like, all that stuff, like, that's I mean, when I think of Comic-Con, I think of the shops, I think of, the artists being there, like, Artist Alley, like, those are the things that I don't just think about the panels. They're like, maybe it'd be
Yep.
different if I was in, like, San Diego and could actually go to, like, a big panel, but around here, they don't have any of those huge marquee panels like that by any
Sure.
means, but I don't know, so I always just thought, like, "Are you even gonna do Comic-Con at home?" Because it's such an in-person event, but like you said, like, those little things that they added in there, especially, like, the different, like, fan segments with, like, the fan art and, like, it even included cosplay from people and, like, just, like, fan submissions in general, like, all that stuff was actually pretty cool. Like, and it
Yeah.
did give it, like, it gave it more of a Comic-Con feel than Comic-Con at home did, in all honesty, but it was
Sure.
like, that was pretty good. Do you think this is actually something before we move on to our first, like, main topic from, just the overall coverage of the fandom itself, do you think this is something they'll continue to do going forward now that they've seen how successful it was? Because it's kinda cool to think that, like, for one whole day, like, DC owned the internet.
yeah.
Like, they literally it was all day, that's all anybody was really talking about or doing, like, I think to a larger success than they probably even thought, like, they ran the internet for a whole
Well,
day,
I would think that, once this like pandemic stuff's over, wouldn't they want to do that in person?
potentially.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like, but I don't know.
No, yeah.
Because you gotta think, like, if you do something in person, that you wouldn't be able to get as much content in like they did.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the reasons that, like, because we talked about this before, like, getting, like, all these, like, stars and everything, their schedules are always different,
Oh
you know what I
yeah.
mean? It's different when if you're lucky enough to be filming the Batman, and that's the thing that, like, that cast is working on right then yeah, they could take a weekend and fly the stars out to Comic-Con and do it. But if this is a year after production, who knows what Robert Pattinson's doing right now? Like,
Yeah.
he might be in another country filming another movie, so, like, the logistics behind getting people in person is difficult for Comic-Con. Like, it's honestly kind of insane that, like, they even manage to do it on a regular basis. So doing things like a virtual event like this, it allowed you to get the entire cast of Wonder Woman. The Rock was able to do his thing, the entire cast of Shazam, because all they had to do was get on a Zoom call and just
They could be doing anything and just call in.
exactly. Like, Henry
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cavill was literally outside of a warehouse somewhere and did his little segment for the Snyder. You know what I mean? Like, it's logistically speaking, it may not be as exciting, but doing an event like this is so much easier, just logistically speaking, for the company.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and plus it's very focused, like you said, it's just DC. When they're at San Diego, they have to share the spotlight with Marvel, all the other movie production studios. They're sharing that spotlight. They owned the entertainment news cycle for 24, if not 48 hours. I mean, even
mhm.
looking at the internet today, I can't think of any other entertainment stories that were out there that were beating out the DC stuff. People were still talking about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely think this is a viable thing that they'll try and continue going forward.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Because that's
Yeah.
I don't see why they wouldn't. In all honesty, like, because because we actually before we move on too, because this is another reason I think they will actually do it. For years now, because you mentioned Marvel. and like having to share the spotlight at Comic-Con and everything. And I was telling Rick a couple weeks ago when we were talking about the Comic-Con at home stuff, like Marvel has been pulling out of going to Comic-Con recently. Like I think
Mhm.
last year or the year before, they only had like an Eternals panel or something, and that was it. And it wasn't just because they didn't have like anything in production; it's because they have D23.
Yeah.
So they're moving
Yep.
all of their stuff in house at D23. It's kind of like, to your point, Rick. They might actually like DC could do its own live event as well, much like Marvel and Disney does with D23 and
Yeah.
Star Wars Celebration. And because they have those two things, they don't really show that much stuff at like Comic Con anymore. Just in like just the last couple of years is when it first started happening. But I don't know. So that's something that like just that alone, which again, like to my point a couple weeks ago, is kind of like unfortunate for Comic Con to some degree because if DC realizes we can own the weekend ourselves, like we can own a news cycle for an entire weekend or even maybe a week if they catch it on a slow news week. If we just do our own event, like if we go to Comic Con, it's we gotta share everything with Marvel dropped this trailer, this panel, whatever like Godzilla stuff. Even though that's Warner Brothers too, like they gotta share the spotlight, like you said, John. So like doing it
Yeah.
themselves at a completely different time at Comic Con, it does give them a lot more coverage. So, which would inevitably kind of hurt Comic Con in the end. So that's kind of the only caveat.
Yeah,
But
but what's the one thing you hear about Comic-Con every year? It's there are no comics left. They don't talk about comics at
that's
Comic-Con,
true.
and
Yeah.
maybe Comic-Con gets back to that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. I think though too, just they need to move out of San Diego. I've been telling Rick that
It's like the
forever.
farthest reaches of the country. Like,
Well, and it's too dense. Like
yeah.
you can't even like we talk about yeah, it'd be great to get into these panels and see it. Like you're not gonna get in. Like people literally camp out an entire week just to get into like Hall H, and that's the biggest one there. And I think Hall
It's
H,
crazy.
I forget the exact numbers, but it's like 1 or 6,000 people or something, and like 30,000 or something people attend Comic Con or something, like some crazy number.
Just a small percentage that
Yeah,
can get in
yeah,
there.
it's
Yeah.
just it's not good. Like they need to move the damn thing to Vegas. That's where they need to go.
Yep.
Vegas or yeah,
No, 'cause, yeah,
Chicago.
the Vegas Convention Center was like it's like 10 San Diego Convention Center.
Jeez.
Like Vegas doesn't skip a beat when there's thousands of people. Like there's always thousands of people there, and you never know. Like with Comic Cons around, getting a hotel room within a couple miles is like $1,000 kind of thing. Like the inflation just goes up insanely, but you
Oh,
wouldn't have
sure.
that in Vegas. Like, and you'd also not be all crammed in. Like, and it's not
Yep.
too far away, so it's just it'd be unless they just want to make the damn convention center bigger, but that's gonna
Just
cost a
for
lot more.
Comic-Con.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they get enough money out of it. I'm sure it'd be
Oh,
a
yeah.
good idea. All right, but anyway, let's get into our first thing. The first thing I wanted to talk about with the actual panels and everything, and I want to get your guys' input on this too. Obviously, Walter Hamada. And did you see the Walter Hamada panel? Either of you guys
I did
with
This is
Jim Lee and Berlanti?
multiverse.
Yeah, the multiverse panel
Yeah.
essentially. So it was like them explaining the multiverse. But like the interesting thing was because with Walter Hamada when he came in and took over DC, he's not as an integral figurehead or as involved of a figurehead, I guess you could say, as like a Kevin Feige is with Marvel. But ever since he kind of took over this new regime of WB and DC, they've been pretty much winning. I mean, that's the Joker got made with him there, because he came in right when Aquaman was coming out. I think right before it released. That's kind of when he took over. So like, and everything post like Aquaman has been kind of done under Walter Hamada, and like, but we've never really like I said, compared to Kevin Feige, he's not like a big figurehead. This was really the first time that we really got to hear him speak about anything publicly, at least, especially in this format about the future of DC films and everything. And I thought it was a good move, the way like him and Berlanti and Jim Lee, all
Jim.
Jim. I mean, he's pretty much is on a first name basis for anybody watching this. Probably, if I say Jim, they're probably gonna know who I'm talking about. But they the way they explained, like, I didn't get the feeling from them that they're looking to expand the multiverse out like and do like a big crisis event kind of thing. Like the way, especially how Hamada was putting it, like this allows them to actually focus on just making like good movies, essentially. Like, because Marvel and the MCU, all their things are connected. They're gonna have one connected storyline, and they're gonna like they do that great. But like, what I got from this is that all they're focused on anymore is just making good movies. And if in the future, them doing the multiverse and saying the multiverse exists for them just opens the door if they ever did want to, for instance, throw Michael Keaton into a Flash movie like they're doing. And I've been wanting them to kind of do that for, I don't know, forever, because like they, for the longest time, and they even commented on this, Berlanti commented on this, especially during that panel, like for the longest time, he'd want to be able to like put somebody in Arrow or something, and like Deathstroke is a perfect example for this, and I think he even used this example. Like they wanted to use Deathstroke, and they can't anymore because they have plans to do it with him in the films, but then maybe that film never even happens, so like now nobody gets to use him. And it's just like they played that game of cat and mouse with all their characters for like the longest time, and it just wasn't very productive for everybody. And it was kind of, I don't know, like in some ways, kind of condescending to the audience because they're like the higher ups at WB. One of their like main reasons for not wanting to do it was they don't want to confuse people. And I loved Greg Berlanti even commented on it, like he never really understood this because when he watches an animated Batman movie, he knows it has nothing to do with Ben Affleck's Batman or anything. Like it's two different things. If he watches something on TV, it doesn't have to mean it's the exact same thing. Like people aren't stupid. And I love like hearing some people that are actually like in charge say these kind of things that I feel like at least myself and I know a lot of fans out there have kind of been pleading for in some ways for years. Because DC's had this multiverse thing kind of in their back pocket that they could just, even without the multiverse, if they never wanted to cross anything over and actually do it, like just make good movies, and then if something works, maybe cross it over. Just do it. So what do you guys think? Or Rick, what do you think about like the multiverse stuff with them? And do you think that they're actually gonna? Do you think more like me? They're just gonna like kind of do what they said and just, I don't know, just focus strictly on these single movies, like more Joker kind of movies, these completely standalone, like Robert Pattinson's Batman, completely standalone. Or do you think that they're gonna give in to the potential success of some of these movies, like Joker made $1 billion? So do you think that's gonna make them more inclined to say, well, maybe we should just cross this over with Robert Pattinson? What do you think they're gonna do?
I think eventually they'll go that direction. I mean, like you said, they're doing pretty well standalone as it is with like Joker, and I'm sure Batman will do well, and the Batman. And I think eventually, in some way, shape, or form, they'll just kind of fall into that,
Do you think it's you think
like
that would be
crossing
a
things over. And
But you think like, I'm sure they'll cross some. That's the thing. I don't know if they. It really depends on what, I guess, what the content is. Because I mean, that was one thing. Like it seemed like Hamada made it pretty clear. Like he wanted it to. He would only do it if it made sense, which is obviously the best way to go.
well, yeah,
But
that's a good way
because
to
the
go.
only thing I do worry, and I don't think this will happen. Like I think the old DC regime and the old Warner Brothers regime, I could almost guarantee that if they were still around right now, like when Joker came out, I bet you they'd be trying to pay Joaquin Phoenix all the money in the world to be Robert Pattinson's Joker. Like I think that's what the old DC would have done. But I
Yeah.
think now, especially with them saying like leaning into the multiverse is kind of a way to enter. I don't know. I think them saying all this stuff and doing the multiverse thing is kind of a way of easing the minds of the general audience, to the higher ups, to kind of allow them to say, like Todd Phillips had a good idea to make a Joker movie, but it doesn't have to connect. Like let Todd Phillips just make a Joker movie, and like we don't need to integrate Joker and worry about how Joker is going to affect Robert Pattinson's Batman. We don't need to worry about it. That's its own thing. I think they're just gonna use the multiverse just to kind of give them an excuse in some way to keep things separate. You know what I mean? What do you think, John?
Yeah, I mean, I personally feel like the multiverse is something that's it's in DC's DNA. I mean, it goes back to 1961 with the Flash of Two Worlds and the introduction of the multiverse in the comics. And that was, as much as Marvel has kind of expanded that concept in their universe, and you have the Marvel 616 universe, which is their main, and they do have alternate worlds now. It really, the idea of a multiverse in comics started with DC Comics, and it's been a big portion of it, such a big portion that they revamped their entire line of comics in the 80s because they felt it got confusing. So I don't know why they haven't just accepted that and leaned into it, and taken that as part of who they are, because it is part of their history. So I'm excited to see that they're embracing that and going with it.
Do you worry though that it'll become let's say they lean too heavy into multiverse and kind of doing a lot of crossovers that it would, even if they don't do a lot of crossovers in general, do you think at some point it'll become, like you said, just too much? Because I mean, eventually it became too much for them, and they had to do Crisis to merge everything.
Sure. Well, I think like everything in life, moderation.
Yeah,
Everything in moderation. Like, don't overdo it. You don't want every movie to be having Ben Affleck, Michael Keaton, Christian Bale all dropping in as Batman just to peek their head around the corner and say, "Hey,
right.
you wanna use those where the story fits." So yeah, listening to him talk about we're going to do it where it makes sense and where it fits is encouraging, but we're not just going to throw Henry Cavill into what like Supergirl TV show just because we can, because we've established there's a multiverse.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
I'd be fine if they did that. They could put Henry Cavill in anything, man.
Very
Especially
well, okay,
Nate's
yeah,
got a
bad example.
Rob's
but-
got a
you keep doing it, and same with Ben Affleck. Just keep throw him in everywhere. As long as you're keeping him around, I don't give a shit what you.
Rob's got a bit of a man crush on both of them.
Yeah, as long as you don't
Hey, I'm
make
right there
them a
with you.
job, and as long as they ain't losing. Like if you threw Henry Cavill in that Supergirl show, as long as he doesn't lose a fight to Supergirl,
Yeah, for real.
that's fine.
That's
Like
very true.
you do you. Like that's yeah. I mean, I totally agree, and that would be my only worry is that things become too convoluted. But I think as long as we're under our current leadership here with WB, I don't think that would become a problem. In all honesty, or like I said, I feel like the old regime at Warner Brothers, we more than likely probably run into that because they already kind of proved that that's kind of the that's kind of where they were heading. They were just being reactionary to everything. They took Justice League being
Well,
a perfect example.
the day that Batman Forever came out and movie audiences went and saw it and it made millions of dollars, that should have been the end of all this. Audiences are stupid and they can't decipher between two different characters, because you switch Batman completely and audiences went right along with it. That movie made a ton of money, and it had nothing to do with the fact that, people weren't scared off because it was a different actor. People were smart, they figured it out, and that should have been the end of it. But no, you still had to endure the entire 2000s and Smallville with references to a billionaire child in Gotham. But
Right,
it was just
Yeah.
really convoluted stuff that was stupid, and I'm glad we're past that, hopefully.
But yeah,
For
not
sure.
to mention too, and I talked to Rick about this a couple weeks ago. I forget what we were talking about, but like even in this typical, regular drama TV shows and just movies in general, like they change actors. Look how many Jack Ryans there've been.
They do that a lot.
Like,
Yeah.
no one cares. Like people,
It doesn't bother me a
stupid.
bit. Like I don't even really think about it.
Yeah, as long as you get a good actor, like I think that's all people really care about. Because it's jarring for like 2 seconds. Like it's like if you go to it like sticking in the DC world, Maggie Gyllenhaal replacing Katie Holmes in the Dark Knight
Oh, yeah.
trilogy. You know what I mean? It's
Great
like
example.
Yeah.
it was jarring for like 2 seconds, and then like as soon as you get past that first scene, you forget about the actress.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just
Yeah.
okay. That's our new whatever her name was. I can't even remember her name right now. The character's
Rachel.
name. Yeah, Rachel. How could I forget, dude?
Yeah.
We were just talking about that last week when she was on the fear gas and stuff on the roof, screaming out for Alfred. Alfred. But yeah, so I think it's time. I'm happy they're doing it. Actually, like I hope they use it in some neat ways, like they already are with the Flash. Like I will say, I am glad to see that they are leaning into it in a fun way and not just it being an excuse to make standalone movies. Like, not just an excuse for them to not continue the DCEU because it wasn't received well from critics and fans, like, it's like a 50-50 split, some people liked the Snyder stuff, and then you got half the people who didn't like the Snyder stuff. So I'm glad that they're not just using the multiverse to say, slowly cut away from that, and that they're actually using it to do something cool and like what's hopefully more than just like a 5-second cameo with like Michael Keaton's Batman in the Flash movie, and then bringing Ben back for the Flash movie. That's at least still in continuity, so it's not really multiversy. But having our boy Keaton back to literally reprise his role and not play a different character, it's a literal. They've confirmed it's like continued role from Batman '89 and everything. That's cool. I do wanna see them actually utilize some of the more fun stuff with the multiverse and not just do it for the sake of making standalone movies. Like, every once in a while, fan service is good, if you
Yeah,
use it right, you
in
know what I mean?
moderation,
Yeah, yeah.
like
If
John
it's
was
used
saying.
right. Like you said, like, you don't need to have some, don't just throw, like, Tom Welling Superman and like, because they did in Infinite Earths on the CW Crisis.
Sure.
They had Tom Welling in there, which everybody's wanted to see him come back and be like, for one, just be Superman, because he
Yeah,
played Clark Kent for 10 years, and you never get to see him be Superman besides in one quick scene at the very end of the show, and he's still not really even there.
Yeah.
Like, they bring him back 10 years later to, I mean, spoiler alert, he's definitely not Superman in the Crisis on Infinite Earths thing. Like,
Hanging out
that's,
on the farm.
yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, that stuff bothers me. I don't That's
Sure.
bad fan service. That was just fan service just to, like, I don't know. It didn't serve the story. You could have cut it out. It didn't do anything. It didn't need to be there. It was
Yeah.
dumb. Like, so I don't want them to do that. So, although Lucifer popping up in that thing was pretty cool. Like,
That was hilarious.
but I like Lucifer a lot. So,
Yeah.
but anyway, let's move on
Lucifer's
to
great.
our dude. That show's great. Have you
Like,
been watching it?
underrated. I am not caught up, but I've watched the first 3 seasons or so, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to fit it in among all the other DC shows I watch. So,
Too much
but
content.
every time I watch it, I go, I need to just watch this more. I don't know why I don't watch this more.
Well,
It's
it's
so
funny
good.
because if you watched all through season 3, season 4 is when it went to Netflix, so that was its best season. Like, season
Okay.
4 was the best one because they went to, like, down to, like, 10 or 13 episodes or 8 episodes. They did the typical Netflix thing of having a short, 10-episode
Yep.
season, we'll say, as opposed to they had to stretch this story out and have all the filler episodes on network television. And, like, I hate that. Like, honestly, like, I hate that. I wish on network TV, and it was funny because the girl who plays Iris on the Flash TV show, apparently I haven't watched the Flash for the last like year or two, but on one of those panels in Fandom, apparently on this previous season or the current season of Flash, I forget what it is, they had to, like, because of COVID, cut production. So what they like, I guess, had enough time to where they could end their like first arc for the first half of the season. So then in the
Mhm.
second half of the season, they're just starting like a new villain arc. And she herself even commented on how, like, that was so much better than literally stretching it out and having filler episodes, like,
Yeah.
throughout, like, those 20 episodes. So, I don't know, I just thought it was kinda nice to see. I always complain about that because it's just, like, Supernatural was probably the only exception where their filler episodes, like, I was fine with because I just like hanging out with the boys, Like, I just like hanging out with those dudes. Like, it's fine if they're just gonna have a stupid episode where they're animated with Scooby Doo, it's fine. Like, but a lot of shows just aren't really suited well for it, and, I don't know, I thought that was interesting, she even commented that, "Yeah, we got to split it up, and it was great," and,
Yeah.
so, yeah, then that's just something that Netflix has always done good, in my opinion. Like, I wouldn't have wanted 20 episodes of Daredevil, for instance. Like, they were able to tell a tight story in 10, and that's it. Like, that's all
Yep.
we needed to do. But let's move on to what typically would be like a main event thing, but we got so much news. We got our first look at Robert Pattinson as Batman, so I know we probably all have a lot to say about this, and we haven't none of us have really talked too much about it. So Rick, what did you think of everything? Or do you want to go, John?
Amazing. It was just, I'll get. I just had to get that out. It's like I'm about to blow up. It was amazing. So I'll let Rick go though.
It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
I really liked it as well. So I was very surprised, and I just thought it looks awesome.
I was honestly more surprised. Like I wasn't surprised it was good. I figured it would be good. But I was more surprised that they actually had like a full trailer.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it
Like,
wasn't like a little teaser or anything.
yeah, I figured if anything, and we said this before, like on the weeks leading up to this, like I was almost certain they were going to show something, but I was like, "There's no way they're going to have like a full trailer because
It's still in production.
yeah, they still have. I mean, Matt Reeves said they've only shot like 25% of this movie, and like for them to be able to put together like that good of a trailer,
Seriously,
like
only
for
25%.
25% of a movie, that was a damn good trailer for 25. Like I've only shot 25%. And that's the cool thing too. It wasn't just the. I mean, it's kind of the fortunate thing with them shooting movies out of order, and they don't shoot them linearly because if they did, we definitely wouldn't have a trailer. But they were at least shot enough scenes that they could kind of even form like a coherent story to some degree with what they did have. So I mean, I just kind of lent itself to it because the first thing I thought when they played that, I was like, holy shit, this is a real trailer. And we'll get into this later, but like we didn't even get a full true trailer for Suicide Squad, and that movie's done with production. Like James Gunn's been editing that for months. They've been done with principal photography. They luckily finished before COVID hit. This got shut down 25% in. So I was really surprised. What did you guys think of for one, what did you think of him, like our first good look at him though, like in the suit, like in action, like what do you guys think? These are
Badass.
the best pictures I could get. Like
It's a little dark.
It's a dark movie, so they still didn't have a lot of like. I just took these
Like
screenshots
brightened
myself
photos,
straight
yeah.
from the movie in the highest resolution, like or from the trailer in the highest res I could. But
I think he looks
yeah,
badass. Especially that scene where like he's got those like thugs in the alleyway and he just beats the shit out of that one guy.
I mean that was the best part.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And then he just has to punch him an extra couple times at the end, just to like make sure.
Yeah, just to make sure.
Yeah.
It's the double tap.
Yeah, just like
Do you think though too? Because I think I told both you guys. I think I have a picture of him too. For one, this reminded me straight up of Batman Begins.
it does, yeah.
You remember the scene? There was just no bats in this one, but it was
Yeah.
like the exact same scene.
I think it looks
He's
better
coming
without the
up
bats.
instead of going down.
He's got the raccoon eyes, which
Yeah.
we were talking about. That's like
That's a huge complaint for me in the other movies.
and it's a stupid thing, but like every time they take them, you see Batman when you see him on close-ups, you can tell he's got the makeup on. But no matter if it's Christian Bale, Ben Affleck, George Clooney, Michael, they all take the damn mask off, gone.
Yeah,
And
the paint's
quick
gone.
cut. Yeah. Ben Affleck comes in, sweating balls, jumps out of the car, takes the mask off, no makeup. Annoying. Like,
Yep.
I don't know why
Pattinson-
that's always bothered me, but that's something that always stuck out to me. Like, makeup go
Well, because that's the thing. It's a
Yeah.
stupid thing, but it takes you out of the movie for a brief second.
for a brief second.
For
Yeah,
a brief second.
it's just like a continuity error.
Yeah, but they do it so that it just I don't know.
So it just transitions to where it's like he doesn't have to
Yeah.
wipe it off.
I
Like,
get, but yeah, but you can still
That's
have them take the
stupid.
mask off, have the eyeliner on,
just use
and
the
then
pad.
just the
wipe
next scene is the next scene. Like he's already cleaned and showered the next scene. Like it's
Yeah.
just a stupid thing. Like so, I liked that he like Pattinson like
That
was
made me
rocking
like
that.
it like right off the bat. I was like, okay, all right.
And then and what do you guys think of the Bruce Wayne look though?
His hair.
There's a lot of people out there. I will say, I'm gonna grab another water. Quick, hold on. Aren't liking the look in the hair in particular. What do you guys think of it? His Bruce Wayne look?
It's definitely different.
I think it's fine. I think it's good. I think it's contemporary. I think
It is.
you look at really rich young people nowadays. They don't have a very conformist appearance. A lot of them. They have the money they can do what they want. People are still going to do business with them. So
Yeah, they can look
not
how they want
having
to
it
look.
be clean cut and whatever doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. This is year 2. So maybe because that's one thing that we got away from that, at least we got a lot more context for the movie. Like we for one got our first confirmation that this is separate, obviously during Fandome. This isn't going to be a Flashpoint paradox event that lets Ben Affleck not be Batman anymore. Like this is just its own thing, like the Dark Knight trilogy was. So we got that confirmation, which I like. And then we got like, information. We didn't really get a time frame of like what year it is, but through just some of the scenes, like there were flat screen, monitors in his bat cave, so it has to be modern.
We talked about that though. I mean, there's parts of the trailer that look like kind of older, old school, almost like a noir kind of look to it. But then, like when that car crashes in with the Riddler's guy in it, it's like a brand new SUV,
Right.
And it just, to me, it was kind of strange. But I'm sure it'll tie in
I
better in
think
the
that
movie.
is mainly just some post production stuff, though.
True.
Like I think it could have just been color grading on it that made it just look a little bit.
It looks
like,
very
shiny
dark
there, yeah. Because that's what I said. Like it's like 7 with Batman. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I'm just wondering if like Selena Kyle's head's going to meet a box at the end, just to throw everybody for a loop. Yeah. Like I doubt it'd be Selena Kyle's head, but like somebody's head in a box. And not to mention, we got our first look at the like Riddler and everything. What did you guys think of and Catwoman too? What did you guys think of? Well, that's another thing too. I will say, Matt Reeves kept saying like, this is new look at this and a new look at that, and it's a new take on this. Does that have you worried at all, or is it just kind of more of the same? Like
Well,
everybody has to invent it in some way.
the Riddler was wearing like a snow mask with glasses over top of it. It's like an old army surplus style one.
Mhm.
And I'm sure that's not like
Yeah.
his final look or anything, but that was interesting.
Well, and I, not to jump too far back, but all the build up to the trailer was perfect for me. Matt Reeves, I was talking with somebody today about this. I never thought anything would match the Christian Bale, Chris Nolan Batman movies for
That
me.
caliber,
For me,
yeah.
those were that's it. Those movies are so good, and they're up on a shelf, and I just hold them on this pedestal.
All the Dark Knight Rises, right?
No, that's that might be the best one, depending on what day it is.
What?
I'm getting weird reactions. No, but when you heard Chris Nolan talk about those movies, Chris Nolan talks about those movies, the construction of those movies, and you can tell that he's a genius filmmaker. The way he thinks about story and the way he breaks down the way the movies are put together is just astounding, and I'm in awe of the way he does that. Listening to Matt Reeves talk about this movie was a completely different experience. Matt Reeves had a passion and enthusiasm for this story that I've never heard another filmmaker that's worked on a Batman movie talk like. I mean, it just came out of him that he cared about these characters. He thought about the way they all went together. He wanted to do. It felt like he wanted to do right by them all, and so that just set it up for me perfectly. I'm so excited just based off of that. And then the trailer just blew me away. So all that together has my hopes really high. But to get back to what we were talking about, the villains, he said this is kind of their origin story. So yeah, we're going to have villains that aren't completely fleshed out. They aren't the ultimate version that we know. And I'm really excited to take that journey and see that happen.
Do you think that's kind of like, because you kept saying new though, and it is mainly with the villains and everything, that I feel like to some degree that is a bit of retreading. You know what I mean? Like,
What do you mean?
as far as introducing like Joker wasn't really like a traditional Joker, like
No.
Heath Ledger's, for instance. It was kind of like to some degree the rise and fall just in one movie of like the same thing. Like we haven't really gotten like kind of like any Batman since the almost the Keaton Batman that in the like Batman Returns, where because like Penguin was just kind of there. Like they showed his backstory, like through like
Yeah.
flashbacks and stuff, but like Penguin was just Penguin from the start. And I feel like ever since then, like, and honestly, in like a lot of it, that's kind of the thing. And like Marvel does the same thing. So I mean, it's kind of a, I guess, if it's not broke, don't fix. Like, ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's always like of just by like a new version, in my opinion, isn't just like not giving them their costume. And that's kind of like what.
Yeah.
Not that I want, the Riddler to be wearing a green suit with question marks on it. I
I
don't
think
want
people
that.
were actually mad that he wasn't, and I thought that was stupid.
No, yeah, that's idiotic. I think the Riddler being a much more grounded, because he was wearing a green coat. I mean,
He's
that's
just, to
fine.
me, I get the vibe that he's like this, almost like a serial killer, but he's like a genius or something, I don't know.
That's what it seems. It honestly reminded me of Zodiac.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like the tone of everything was more like Seven, but the Riddler himself was more like Zodiac killer. Like that's kind of
It'd
the
be
vibe
more
I got
just like a
from it.
nickname for him almost because he does like riddles, obviously, with his little
exactly.
notes and stuff.
Yeah. So, like, and I'm not saying like I don't want like a cartoony version of, like, the Penguin or anything.
No,
I'm like the
God.
much more grounded, like
You always
you
said
would
that he
never
should be
know.
like a mob boss.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how he should be. That's
Mhm.
because I mean that's pretty much what he is. And like the Arkham games did that very well. Like as far
Mhm.
he was just like an underground mob boss, and like he even commented on like Penguin, for instance, which we were talking about this before. Like that makeup on Colin Farrell's insane. Like
I didn't know that was him when I first
you had
watched
to
it.
like double take just to even like realize it was him. But yeah, the Arkham games did it super well with just him being a mob boss, and that's what Matt Reeves was saying. This is he's like he is just
His nickname
he's
is
an
the
up and
Penguin.
coming crime lord, and they call him the Penguin, and he doesn't even like that kind
Yeah.
of thing. And it looks like he has like scarring and stuff on his face in like areas. So I'm guessing like they're gonna have to tie that into being.
So he's not going to have penguin claws.
I don't think so. Like
That
that shit was so weird in that movie.
was so weird.
Like I don't. That's the thing. A lot of people like didn't like that movie when it came out because it was like too dark. I just thought it was weird.
I thought it was
Like,
goofy.
I didn't think it's dark at all. It's still like it's got the Tim Burton. Tim Burton had his own kind of dark.
Danny
camp.
Elfman, Tim Burton, just
Yeah,
goofy,
like
quirky.
like it's definitely when you switch over to the Joel Schumacher Batmans, it was definitely those were a lot lighter, I guess. But I never got like Christopher Nolan movies are much like darker in my opinion than like those
Gritty.
movies ever were. You know? Like, but this does have a more. It has the same grounded vibe as like the Dark Knight stuff, but a lot like even more so. Like in my opinion,
Mhm.
like it feels much more real. Like I
Look
don't
at the
know.
suit.
That's what the suit, the car, like everything. Even his Batcave. His Batcave just looks like a warehouse that like
Just looks
he
dirty.
built. Well, it
Yeah.
just looks like something that he himself would have built, not like Ben Affleck's Batcave, for instance, or even Christian Bale's Batcave. which
Ben
was
Affleck's Batcave was a little over the top.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, he didn't build that himself. He had a crew of people come in and build this secret underground bunker and shit. And
What
it's
do you
like,
think we're building this for?
well, he was a much more established Ben Batman for 20 years, so it makes sense that he would kind of have like a more flushed out cave like that. But like, even Christian Bale's, where he just had like in the Dark Knight, they just had that weird ass like elevator thing go down, like just a big ass room. Like you had to
In the
have.
shipping container.
Yeah, and it's like you had to have some concrete layers come down there and like there's no way he did all that himself. Robert Pattinson, where he was at, it literally just looks like a shed warehouse thing that he bought and just threw up the lights and put a desk there with some monitors and like he's just on his way. He built the car, it was sitting right there next to everything, didn't have some crazy platform that it comes up. It felt a lot more real to me than a lot of other ones, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like And then, but these guys too, with the goons. I said this
I don't
to
think
you
you're
guys.
right about this.
No. Do you think it's because it's like they got like Joker looking makeup, but like,
Oh, yeah.
or do they have like, is it like gonna be like a Sons of Batman kind of thing? Like he's gonna go and like he beats up the mob boss here, like the leader of the gang, right? To get them to all follow his order.
They look terrified after
You know what I
that
mean?
too.
Because they could be doing something like that, so then he gets more eyes and ears on the street. You know, like that'd be kind of cool. That's something we
They
haven't
haven't really
seen
done
before.
that. Yeah.
It would be. It feels. I'm completely wrong. I could be completely wrong on this. Feels early in his career for him to be drafting an army. If
That's
we're
true.
if we're year 2 Batman,
But what if it makes
Ooh.
sense? What if it makes sense
Yeah.
in the story? Like
no, I'm
he's
not
like,
doubting it. I'd be on board. I'd go along for that ride.
well,
But
my first initial thing was like, this looks like a Joker gang. Like, what the fuck they doing? Then there were rumors that Matt Reeves was casting a Joker to be in like the second and third installment, and he might be teased in this one in some capacity. All rumors, unsubstantiated. But then I got to thinking of the Sons of Batman idea, and then Matt Reeves commented on Penguin being this up and coming mob boss, and like if maybe Penguin is building an army, so like he goes and beats up this gang leader guy to force them into like helping him just take them down. Like he's not building an army, not like in the comics, and whatever. But he's like not gonna build the Sons of Batman army, but like they kind of put like a wink and a nod to it, and he gets these guys to like help him just with like this one task. And then maybe they
Yeah.
could develop it further down the line. But like I think that would be a pretty cool thing. And it would make
Yeah.
sense, like in all honesty. Like it's one thing that like they've never really touched on in the Batman movies, but they have in the comics, obviously. But it just from a fundamental level makes sense because Batman is one guy and he can't be everywhere. So if he beats up some of these smaller gang dudes, like these weirdos, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even, where are they hanging
Weirdos.
out? Like under a bridge, like
Yeah, it's
literally.
just in like a rainy
Yeah.
alley.
Yeah, like this is the perfect group of dudes for him to go beat up and then like just demand the rest of them to help him or I'll be back. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
you know,
Do this to the rest of you fools.
right?
So
Oh.
while you're speaking about him being one person, did you find it odd that we didn't get any shot of Alfred? And what do you think the chances are that Alfred's like an AI? Andy Serkis being a CGI maestro or whatever, and his voice being in the trailer but not getting an actual shot of him just gave me pause for a second. I was just like,
Yeah,
interesting.
I never thought about that.
Well, here's I got one thing to say. They would never do that because of Iron Man.
Jarvis.
They wouldn't want to draw those comparisons to it. And Alfred's too much of a central character. They would maybe kill him off down the road and have him be an AI, maybe. But in
What if
this
he's in, like, a
world, I
wheelchair
would
or
not see an
something?
AI being a thing. What?
I mean, he could be like
Sure.
in a wheelchair or something, even, or like it could be just a totally different kind of.
I think, dude, them having Andy Serkis, I mean, you saw him as Ulysses Claw, dude. He could, if he wants to be a big,
Oh, yeah.
intimidating dude, he can be. And I think another thing we haven't seen on screen is a younger Alfred who, like, is in the comics and a lot of the animated stuff, they've had a younger Alfred who will kick some ass. You know what I mean? He was a former military man. And I would think that that's why you cast Andy Serkis, other than you being like really good friends with the director, because they are. But
Yeah.
so he had a real easy in there. But I think the only reason that we didn't see Alfred was probably because, if I'm not mistaken, Andy Serkis was in the middle of filming something else. He was directing something while they had undergone when they started filming this. And I doubt he's going to be in the movie too much as it is because
They just straight don't have footage. They just had him call in to do a little voice work for it.
That would be my guess.
Yeah,
That'd be my actual guess because they probably didn't have footage to really the line that they had him do. They maybe he's not even facing Batman. Maybe he's like side cam when they actually say it. So they just didn't have it.
Right. Well, and I wasn't going to be placing any bets on that being the case. I just thought it was interesting that
if you are, I'll take the bet for sure. But yeah, nevertheless, I think it turned out pretty damn well.
Yeah.
All things considered, I was already looking forward to the Robert Pattinson Batman, but the trailer definitely it did what a trailer is supposed to do and move me up even higher in my excitement level.
It definitely pulled me in.
We talked about this, Rob, the other day. Was like to end this event. This was it was like the grand finale of a fireworks display. It was like everything throughout the day had been really, really good, and even if it had been bad, you end on this note, and people are going to come back whatever you do next because this was just out of the ballpark.
Which is funny you say that because that's like a lot of like criticism that like even Marvel movies have gotten. It's just like maybe not Marvel movies, but just like you have a good third act, and that's what people leave thinking about. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You don't think about all the other like potentially plot holy stuff. You just think about that dope ass third act.
True.
So you leave on a high note, like, and that's I wouldn't. There's a lot of movies that actually do that. I'm not throwing Marvel on the bus, but I mean, just because this is a DC thing, I'm not going to throw Marvel on the bus because obviously, if we had to place any bets on who's doing better right now in the movies, it's obviously Marvel's doing better in the movies right now. But
hopefully not for long though.
Maybe not. Like you never know. I mean, DC it does have the only one that's been nominated. Well, not. I guess Black Panther was nominated for Best Picture. It shouldn't have been because it wasn't one of the best pictures, but Joker actually was one of the best movies of the year it was nominated, and it did win some Academy Awards. So got that going for it. I think it won 2 Oscars, best score and best lead actor.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the first comic book movie to do that. So that's pretty. They're winning on some level, we'll say. So you guys got anything else on the Batman you want to talk about before we move on to the next one?
I'm good. I think we covered everything.
I'm super pumped for next year, but I'm also completely resigned to the fact that I'm not going to see this movie till 2022.
Well, it still said 2021.
I know it did, but man, I just it's October 1st of next year. If COVID shuts them down one more time, or there's any sort of delay, there's no way they hit that date.
That is my fear too, with a lot of these things like going back into production. It's kind of like with like people wanting to reopen schools and everything. As soon as one person like unfortunately gets it, they're gonna have to shut everything down. Because especially like in a school or in a situation like this, they're all too close quarters to where more than likely one person came in contact with 50 in some capacity. Like maybe not hand-to-hand contact, but like they were in a room that 50 other people were in, so it all has to get shut down because if 50 of your guys have to be quarantined, like that's a big deal. You know, so I do actually have a worry in the back of my mind about that, you know, it might get delayed even more. It could happen. Hopefully not, but again, too, they've only shot 25.
After this trailer, it's worth the wait, I think.
Yeah,
it's true.
I'll wait as long as I have to.
It's just like you said, end on the high note. Maybe it comes out December of 2021. Maybe they can somehow get it out so we end 2021 on a high note. Like,
we can only hope.
Maybe. But anyway, let's move on. Well, actually, guys, just let us know what you guys think, too, of the Batman stuff down in the comment section below. And then we're going to move on to our next topic, which is the Wonder Woman trailer. And I think the only thing that is worth note, in my opinion, because I'm already looking forward to the Wonder Woman movie. Like, I'm already sold on it. I liked the first one. Did you guys both like the first Wonder Woman?
Yep.
Any complaints with it? So like, I'm already on board with Wonder Woman. Even after the last trailer, I didn't need to see any more of it. The only thing I was hoping that they would do, and I wouldn't even needed to see it. They could have kept it a secret until the actual movie, and I would have been fine. But that is Cheetah. I was hoping from day one when they announced that Cheetah was going to be the villain that they would actually go full Cheetah, like full curse Minerva with turning into a cheetah. And we got our first look. She does go full Cheetah. Now
it's like Cheetah Woman.
Yeah, but problem being, this is the best picture I can get. Sorry.
She looks like she came from Cats.
The problem is with it, at least in the CG didn't look all that good. And now I've watched like the highest res like trailers I could of this, and it's got me. I'm not like I'm not putting it down. I'm not super nervous about it because a lot of times, you know, you see it doesn't speak to what it actually looks like, you know, when the movie comes out. Because with a lot of these movies, especially like they were working on post-production for Avengers Endgame up to like a week before that thing came out. You know what I mean? So they could still be working on this. They could have had this trailer ready to go for a couple weeks now and just knew this event was coming up, so they decided to hold it off. You know, so these could be early previs shots of this. Maybe it'll look better. But what did you guys think of like the overall like look of Cheetah?
Thought it looked good.
Yeah. Do you think?
I mean, I'm there. It's good, but I will say that freeze frame you got sitting up there reminds me a little bit of Cats. The movie Cats.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like, you throw that up next to another one, I think she fits in that cast. Okay.
Oh yeah, you could drop her right in the movie.
Talk about bad timing. Like that Cats, like they should. It's actually a good thing that this didn't come out the same year as Cats. That's all people would have been thinking about. 100%. That's all people would have been thinking. I wonder if she has a butthole.
Oh God.
There was the.
Did you see my face?
There was the. You don't know that, Rick? There was.
I know all about.
There was a whole no butthole movement for all the cats, and they have a. I think didn't they make a butthole cut of Cats?
I think there is a butthole cut.
They made the butthole. I wonder. They better not make that same mistake with Cheetah.
I don't know if that's like realistic or just perverted or.
It's realistic.
But at the same time, like I can think in my head, like, yeah, they're cats. They got buttholes. I don't need to see them though. Like, I don't know.
I guess it's true. I mean,
does she take breaks to like clean herself?
Here's the thing: these cats having buttholes, I don't think made the movie any better.
The movie was awful.
Did you watch the movie?
No, but I heard it was awful.
Can't say it was awful. You didn't watch it.
I'm singing Cats. How good can it be?
That's true. I mean, I
love
had no
Cats.
interest in seeing it, but
I'm not a fan of musicals.
Yeah, I don't like musicals at all. Like, everyone was all like going ape shit over La La Land. I watched 10 minutes of that movie.
That movie's so bad.
I couldn't get through it. Like,
Can't. Yeah.
I like Mary Poppins as a kid.
The only reason that movie was good
Mary
got
Poppins.
any acclaim was because you just don't see musicals anymore. You don't see musicals in the theater anymore, and that one got released, and so
For good reason, I feel like, though.
I kind of agree, because anytime like a big marquee musical comes out, like Les Mis or Moulin Rouge or Chicago, these ones that have these big names in them and that are like well-made movies and stuff, they always get Oscar attention, like no matter what. And it's like, well, they had no competition as far as musicals go, so I guess they do just kind of have a shoe-in to some degree, as long as you're competently made. Some of those though are better than others. Like, I actually watched Chicago and it wasn't terrible. I just don't like musicals. But I don't know. As far as the Wonder Woman stuff though, actually on topic, I'm pretty stoked to see it regardless. Like, I'm not gonna lie, when I was watching the trailer, despite I was filled with joy when I saw full cheetah, because that's what I wanted to see.
Yeah,
I was like,
it was a woman for most of the trailer.
And every other trailer leading up, it was just her looking normal. So,
well, and I think when she's on screen, it's going to be go action. You're not going to have Cheetah standing around in full cat regalia talking up Wonder Woman. I mean, it's
Cheetah's quick.
Yeah. So
I
don't think you have that real. Your mind won't be able to settle into. That's a human face on a CGI rendered cat body. That's weird.
Yeah, that is kind of the problem they have, though. Kind of just like going back to the cats thing. It's just the overall kind of like the verisimilitude with it. Like, it's taking you out of the movie a little bit, because you just know it's like, the uncanny valley, that kind of concept with it. I feel like you might get that with that, although like it's odd because people accept Thanos. He's just a big purplish pink dude.
Well, and to go even back further, Beast in the X-Men movie. Like, I never for once had a problem with Beast on screen. Here's a large furry person. And if cats hadn't come out, maybe I would have never said that about Cheetah. I mean, maybe I would have just been like, yeah, that's effing awesome. But
you probably wouldn't have. You definitely, it probably wouldn't be a thing.
Cats spoiled it, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe we should watch the Cats movie. Maybe she makes an appearance, like in the back. Maybe it's there.
I'm good on that.
Only in the butthole cut, though.
Only in the butt. Yeah, I'll watch the butt cut.
Yeah. But so that's pretty much all I have for Wonder Woman. I'm looking forward to it just as much as I was before. I didn't even need the trailer. I liked the little M bit with the parachute pants. I thought that was funny.
That was funny.
I love Chris Pine, dude. He's so good, dude. And I still, what I was hoping to, now that they're leaning into this multiverse stuff, Rick.
Oh, I know what you're gonna say.
Maybe they can just go ahead and cast him as Hal Jordan.
I knew you were gonna say that.
He'd be the absolute best Hal Jordan. Like, I don't know, if I was working at DC and I knew they casted Chris Pine as Steve Trevor of all things, I would have been furious. I'd been like, why didn't you get him to play Hal Jordan? He is 100% Hal Jordan.
Like, he would be a good
in every way possible. Like, I to this day I can't think of a better Hal Jordan than him. And that's why I also feel the same way about Idris Elba being in Suicide Squad and not being Jon Stewart. Like, those two, that's the duo right there.
Oh, for sure.
Like that, those two, man. Like, I'm sure that if they ever do get around to do the Green Lantern stuff, which is one thing I was actually surprised that Fandom didn't have, was any announcements of Green Lantern. Speaking of which, like nothing on the show, or maybe going to making it in the movie instead. There was just no movement on it. Like,
kind of stagnant.
If that show, let's say that show is looking at a HBO Max debut of November of 2021. Do you think they're holding it back for next year's Fandom?
Dude, there's no way it could even come out then, because like they don't even have unless they're further along behind the scenes than like anybody knows about. There's been no casting news. There's been no like set product. There's been no news. There's no like. The only thing we know is that Greg Berlanti is like producing it, but there's been no like showrunner announced. There's been like, I don't know, and like Green Lantern would be such an like an effects heavy thing, because you mean think about it. Snyder Cut is a movie that is essentially foundation is already there, and it's still going to be a year before we see it. And then with this Green Lantern thing, it, as far as we know, hasn't been cast or written, nothing, let alone actual physical production and everything. So with no announcement at all,
it's going to be a while.
It's probably going to be 2022 or later. especially with all the things that we know is coming down the pipeline. It's like, where do they even have room for it at this point? You know?
Yeah.
Which is kind of a bummer because Green Lantern, there's so many things they can do with Green Lantern. Like, what do you guys think of? Do you think they should just do a Green Lantern movie, or are you cool with them doing like a show on HBO Max? Especially knowing now they can lean in with the multiverse and like say it's actually connected.
I don't know. Everything's going to streaming now. It's like, it was weird even seeing in the Snyder Cut thing, just like 4 episodes kind of thing. It's like it's a movie, but it's also like show now. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down for Green Lantern or how to do it. My mind goes to you need the budget of a major motion picture to actually pull off the effects because it is, like you said, effects heavy. But if they're going to throw the budget behind it to do it on a small screen, I'll give me 10 episodes. I'm happy to have that.
I mean, if anything, we know now with HBO Max, we know, which I guess we kind of knew to some degree just based on Game of Thrones and a lot of other things. Nothing was quite as expensive as Game of Thrones for them, at least as how much they were willing to put into their production. But with the Snyder Cut, we kind of got some indication that they're also willing to put a substantial amount of money behind some DC HBO Max properties. Like, because, I mean, they were looking at up more than $30 million to finish.
Oh yeah, I was
movie.
going to ask how much it was. It's a lot.
I mean, he just got fired, but the guy who was in charge of HBO Max did an interview. He got fired. He got laid off, and DC and Warner Brothers did a bunch of layoffs. But he was one of them who unfortunately got let go. But he said in an interview, like someone asked him like about it being 30 million because that's what some reports had been showing. He kind of laughed and said like, "I wish it was only $30 million." Like most people are estimating it's probably 50 to 100 somewhere in there just to finish the Snyder Cut to some degree. So if they're willing to put that much money into presumably 4 episodes, we know that they're doing the 4 episode thing, obviously. I mean, that's 25 million per episode. That's on par with Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And they had 10. At least the good seasons had 10. So, I mean, I don't know. As long as they're willing to put that kind of bank behind their property, like a Green Lantern property, and they get a good actor to play the role, and they got a good story and everything, then the only thing that would really have me worried in some capacity is that, not that Berlanti's like bad or anything, but Berlanti's behind all the CW stuff, and I would want Green Lantern to be a much more less CW kind of show. Yeah, I'd like it to be more of a not dark like Pattinson's Batman, not Pattinson level of like grittiness or anything, but a much more dramatic approach and not have the CW gloss on it kind of thing. So, but anyway, let's get into our next topic, guys. So, what did you just let us know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about the Wonder Woman stuff? I know there wasn't a whole lot there, in my opinion, just because the panels were good. I will say though too, the Wonder Woman panels, and you commented on at the beginning of the show, John, like how they had everybody there with the same backgrounds, production value. I liked all the panels for Wonder Woman. It was all good. As far as the trailer goes, though, I could have honestly, aside from getting the cheetah confirmation, I could have been fine without it. I was already going to go see the movie. Like, I didn't need to be sold on it at all. So, I don't know. But let us know down in the comment section below what you guys thought about the Wonder Woman 84 final trailer. So now, guys, our next topic, which I think this probably blew me away, probably more than anything there. This to me got me much more hype than I probably thought I would ever be, just because we had no information about this, and this would be the Black Adam news. So I don't know about you, Rick. Did you have a chance to see this stuff, Rick? Because I know John did.
I did not get a chance to see this, and I feel stupid saying that.
I don't know if you would know too. Like,
I'm not incredibly, I'm not as big of a DC fan as you are, and like every bit of information on Black Adam I know is basically stuff you just told me,
right?
Or things I've seen like in the that DC Online game, and
right. Which that trailer for DC Universe Online though is dope. Like,
oh yeah,
that's what I was telling. That's what me and Rick were talking about when I was talking about the Black Adam stuff. Because he was like, "Who's Black Adam again?" or whatever, and
he's the Shazam guy.
Yeah, the Shazam guy in the DC trailer, right? I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much
like claps.
And that trailer's dope. Like, made by Tim Miller. But anyway, so the main thing that kind of like blew me away with this stuff was finding out the direction they're going with this. Because really, the only announcement we had leading up to everything we got here at Fandom for Black Adam was we knew Atom Smasher had been cast and was going to be in it, but like little was known at that point what kind of JSA ties were going to be in it. We didn't know how much the Atom Smasher stuff was going to happen, and then Atom Smasher existing kind of presumed a certain time period, but which is still some question marks behind it to some degree, though, because they're through the Black Adam like panel, I guess you could say. The Rock showed like a lot of what would presumably be like backstory or flashback kind of stuff, as him as a slave and everything. So I would assume we're going to see some of that in the movie, but then at the same time, it showed some more of the modern JSA character, which there's one in particular I'm super hype about. But John, what about the JSA stuff? Like got you excited for it? Black Adam, or what about Black Adam in general? Got like this panel got you hyped for it?
For a panel that had essentially what a half dozen just marketing mock-ups. These weren't even production like storyboards. These weren't production art. These were just straight marketing pieces that were created for this panel specifically. And you had The Rock, who's playing Black Adam, and then you had the kid that's playing Atom Smasher. And that was it for this panel. And this was maybe the second best panel of the entire show next to the Batman one. I mean, this thing just blew me out of the water.
It did.
They gave you such a good taste of who the character is, but then you have The Rock and his charisma and the way he carried the panel just by his sole personality alone. And then they reveal the JSA. If you're a DC fan that goes deep, then you know who the JSA are. You know how important they are to the history of DC. And for them to reveal that they're bringing them into, I mean, they haven't even established the Justice League as a really strong property as far as their film goes, and now they're going to bring in the JSA. I'm all for it. This is amazing, and I was over the moon for this. This was great.
Well, speaking of which, too, I'm just going to include this in on just because it's not really at some point it's going to be connected. But just before we get into the JSA stuff, because I have much more to say about the JSA stuff than I do about this. The Shazam, we got the Shazam title in addition, and this panel was pretty, I guess, cool for what it was, and there's not a lot of news for it. But just because there's such good ties with Shazam and Black Adam, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen between? We going to get any Black Adam teases? You think in the Shazam movie? Or you think they're going to be pushing that off to like Shazam 3?
Okay, what's the release schedule for this? Is it Shazam before Black Adam or Black Adam before Shazam? Okay, I think maybe you get a tease of Black Adam as like a post-credits thing, maybe for Shazam, setting up maybe a Shazam 3 or a Black Adam 2.
I think Shazam's going to come out first. I think.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I included the Shazam thing in with these because that was the only thing I had to comment on was the title because that's all we got. But the JSA stuff, what do you think?
I was just going to say real quick, talk about a perfectly cast movie. That Shazam movie, every bit and part in that movie is so perfectly cast. And that panel, while gave us no real information to discuss besides the title, which is kind of nondescript, but still an entirely enjoyable panel just because of the sheer personality and the cast and people involved.
Right, kind of just like with The Rock, like Zach Levi is just as like charismatic as The Rock in like a different way, but he can he carried the whole panel and made like a 5-minute Zoom call entertaining to some capacity. So like that was good. And yeah, I have no idea what Fury of the Gods could really mean, in all honesty.
It sounds like some gods are kind of mad.
Yeah, but like what gods are we talking here right now? Like,
yeah, right.
Because it's like there's like who knows? But I mean, I'm interested to know what's going to happen. the one thing too, which actually just before I forget about this, because I didn't even bring this up, I wasn't really gonna cover anything on the Aquaman panel because nothing happened and Jason Momoa wasn't even there. But uh Orm was there, Ocean Master. So Ocean Master and James Wan were there for that panel, and like they made it pretty clear that Ocean Master is pretty much just gonna be like a central bad guy again. At least that's the vibe I got from that, which is just like kind of interesting. That's really the only note I have from that panel, so I wasn't really gonna bring it up. But did you catch
Sure.
that one? The Aquaman
Yeah.
panel? Like I thought that was interesting. Like they were literally pretty much just saying he's gonna be wreaking havoc again in some way. Like that's literally the vibe I got from Patrick Wilson, and the way he was talking to James Bond was just like very forward about like, yeah, Orm's gonna get out and something's gonna happen. Like I don't know if it's gonna be the main thing, but I will say the
Yeah.
main thing that though with this to get back on the Black Adam, my boy here. This is what I've been wanting to see Dr. Fate
Yeah.
out of Smallville, because I will say the stuff they did with JSA were probably some of the funnest things that Smallville ever did, and they at least gave us Dr. Fate, which wasn't really
He's pretty OP,
super
isn't
good.
he?
Dude, Dr. Fate's insanely.
Oh,
Dr.
yeah.
Fate's he's ridiculous. It's really not even fair of him. Like it's kind of like on the level of Doctor Strange. Like the limit to the power is insane. It's just a matter of like, well, what's going to prevent him from doing it? Like you know,
Yeah.
what are they going to throw at him to make him not be OP?
I like his
Because
helmet.
it's kind of like the Superman dilemma, and in some ways, with this is what you run into with a lot of characters. Doctor Fate has always been one of my favorite characters. So the fact that they said that Doctor Fate's going to be in this thing, that's what made me happy. As soon as I saw that, and like, it's like I said at the beginning of this Black Adam thing, like The Rock even said himself, they've been trying to make this movie for 10 years, and we've had zero information out of this movie other than The Rock is playing Black Adam. That's all we've had in 10 years of time. No title, no sense of plot until like what, a month or so ago when we found out Adam Smasher was going to be in it. But then boom, this panel just, I agree with you, was probably the best panel of the whole thing after the Batman stuff. Like the amount of information that like The Rock gave us about where they're going with this movie just, I don't know, it just blew me away and it caught me way off guard. I would have never expected them to go in this direction. And I always thought in the back of my mind, since it's been 10 years in the making, that I just kind of felt like they had no idea where they were going with it either. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, why else have you been in production on something for 10 years and like not even announcing anything, like as far as the plot? So this was like super reassuring to me, just because like they seem to have just a huge handle on like where they're going and the story they are actually going to be telling. Like, so I don't know. I'm just super hyped about it. I'm super hyped. I just want to see Dr. Fate, and I hope they have Dr. Fate looking dope. And because even in Smallville, they made Dr. Fate look pretty cool.
They did
in live action. Like they made him look great. So I just can't wait to see what that was.
Man, I remember watching that with you like a decade ago almost.
And I was so hyped when it came out.
I remember that.
Like I made, because you didn't even watch Smallville or anything, but I was like,
No.
dude, you gotta watch this. Like,
I remember seeing
it's the closest thing we'll ever get to the Justice League on TV. Is literally what I said. Like, and it's like, here it is. And at the time, it was. But
do you think the movement on this movie is all due, like we talked about earlier, to the current regime and their acceptance of a multiverse and not constraining stories? Because I feel like this is the right story to tell with these characters. But I can also see why, prior to where they're at now at DC, people might have said, well, we can't introduce the JSA. We don't know who the JLA are. How are we going to introduce the JSA when people don't even know who the Justice League is? So I wonder if it's, the reason we're getting such movement is because of the acceptance that they're going to lean into that.
That's possible.
Yeah, no, I would 100% agree with that, especially with just the current climate of seeing things like Guardians of the Galaxy work. No one knew who Guardians of the Galaxy were. Like, everyone sees, like Rick, you said for the longest time that was like your favorite Marvel movie when it came out.
It was pretty good.
Like, and like
same with number 2.
Yeah, like in this thing, like I never really cared for them like that much. They're like honestly some of my least favorite Marvel movies. I really like them. When that's your least, when you got a movie and you got to rank Guardians of the Galaxy lower than something else, y'all doing something right, because it's a great movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, but when you got to make a list, it's like especially when with them, they're 23 movies in, and they're all for the most part pretty damn good. So, but I would 100% say that with the current regime, I think honestly too, they may not be as good all the time and be much more hit and miss. But I think everybody at DC seeing what Berlanti has been able to do and how wacky shit this there's a lot of the stuff they do on those CW shows. Like it may not be super high production value all the time, but they do a lot of wacky stuff. And I think I honestly think that probably has a big part of why they're doing stuff like this now. They know that people want that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like people don't need to know every little thing. It doesn't have to be Batman for people to like it. And I think Marvel has proven that over the last 10 years, and I think Berlanti has been, at least as far as DC is concerned, a really driving force behind kind of shedding some light on that. Like he's behind getting a character like Black Lightning to be very successful on network television. And it's hard enough to have successful network television shows in general, let alone ones you have to put higher production value in because of all the special effects, costuming, and whatever superhero one. So I think honestly, that's probably had a much bigger impact than a lot of people would probably give it credit for, just due to the camp. But I totally agree, though. I think that's 100%. We wouldn't be getting this, and a big part of it would be they're just obscure and they don't know. Everybody knows who Hawkman is when you see him, but I know everyone treats Hawkman like they used to treat Aquaman. That's how people treat Hawkman now. It's like Hawkman took Aquaman's place. You ever notice that? People always make fun of Hawkman. I think they do it a lot in what was I watching? It was some animated DC thing, I think, too, where they were just making fun of Hawkman the whole time. He literally took the place of Aquaman. Now he's just a dude that gets made fun of. It's so weird. But I'm glad and with this movie and the JSA and everything, I think Black Adam was the absolute perfect way to tell a JSA story, in my opinion. Because everybody, especially having someone like The Rock playing Black Adam, there's your pitch and selling point. It doesn't matter. They could literally do whatever they wanted at that point, because The Rock is literally the highest paid actor of the last 2 or 3 years straight. Everybody just loves The Rock. It's not just because his movies are great, because a lot of them aren't. It's just everybody loves Rock.
Yeah, there's a lot that aren't.
Yeah, he puts butts in the seat, 100%. So really, kind of using The Rock and Black Adam as a platform to introduce not so much some obscure. I wouldn't consider the JSA to be obscure, because more people know about the JSA than some of the characters in Suicide Squad, for instance, like James Gunn's Suicide Squad that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. But using The Rock to kind of tell that story in Black Adam, I think is perfect. I really I would not. I give them props, because for the longest time, like I said, I had no idea where they were going to be going with this, and to learn that they actually had what seems like a pretty coherent plan and was kind of ingenious, because I would have never thought they would have gone this route. I give them mad props. Because it's an ambitious story to tell, because it's not just a Black Adam story, it's a JSA story at this point. So it's gonna be a little Guardians of the Galaxy flavor, because they're gonna be introducing a lot of these people at one time, not having your Dr. Fate movie, not having your Hawkman movie. They're just gonna be okay, well, Shazam, here's Black Adam and 4 or 5 other people, go. And I like that.
Well, going back to your point too, the other thing that I think they've learned, or at least picked up on, especially going back to Guardians of the Galaxy, is that you don't have to give a fully fleshed origin where you see what happens to the character. You can throw away 5 lines of dialogue and explain a character's backstory. And then if you need to later on, you can do flashbacks. But Drax, in the first Guardians movie, you don't get a fully rendered backstory for Drax. He just shows up and they say, this is who this character is. And I think they realized that you can do that with a movie like Black Adam. They can give the full-fledged backstory on Black Adam, but then throw in the JSA and just say, these are who these characters are.
No, I agree. Hey, 100%. And like I said, I just want Dr. Fate, dude. So that's all I care about. And I really do want to see, like, I think leading up to it too, I hope they do a good job with that, because in the end, it could open the door for, they could backdoor their way into a JSA franchise. Like, because Black Adam can leave and go and fight Shazam and Superman and things like that. Speaking of which, The Rock all but confirmed, that he's gonna fight Superman. Like, that wasn't just me, right? Like, I feel like so, and like Henry Cavill and The Rock have the same manager, and I think it's his wife or it's The Rock's wife or ex-wife who is their manager. And I'm just saying, like, he pretty much all but confirmed, like, Superman obviously wouldn't be in that story if they're doing the JSA stuff, but maybe an end tag at the end there. If there's a time skip, post-credit scene, maybe Superman shows. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or some sort of like clue alluding to him or something.
Yeah, or maybe it's Black Adam 2 or something. But would you rather see Black Adam 2? Because okay, if this is pretty much the last question I have about Black Adam to you guys. With Shazam 2 coming out first, and then Black Adam 1, would you rather see them close off the Shazam trilogy with Black Adam and Shazam, which I think would make sense? Or would you rather first see, like, Black Adam 2 have a fight with Shazam and Superman? You know what I'm saying?
Black Adam and Superman, yeah.
Yeah, so like Shazam and Superman would be the bad guys to a Black Adam 2 movie, as opposed to a Shazam 3 having Black Adam as the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? So Black Adam 2 with Superman and Shazam, or Shazam with close out the trilogy with Shazam versus Black Adam, and then maybe like Billy dies or something.
What if we're gonna get Black Adam versus Superman, what I want, and it probably isn't going to happen, but I want an Injustice Society movie. I want Ocean Master to get out of his jail in the ocean. He can team up with Black Adam, and I don't know who else you're going to pull in from these other franchises, but have them come up with some reason and then have Superman fight him that way. Because I think just because of the characters and the way they're tied together, I think that Black Adam and Shazam have that. They're the opposite sides of the same coin, and they need. I would rather see that be the capstone movie to a Shazam series.
If that were to happen, would you want to see, just for the sake of, I don't know, like that would be Shazam 3 then at that point. So we'd only have so we'd have potentially, if they were going to go trilogy route, which they typically do for these kind of things. Would you rather see like Shazam win in that situation, or would you rather see something like Billy die to Shazam, like end the trilogy like that in a dark way? Like it's like a sacrificial maybe kind of thing, so it's like both good and bad.
I think that'd be cool.
I think that would be dope. Kind of like how we said before, dude. I don't know if we said this on camera or not, but John, I want your thoughts on this too. How ballsy do you think it would have been if in Avengers Endgame, when Tony is, the scene where he's trying to get the things, he took the stones, but then Thanos thinks he still has the stones, so he says, "I am inevitable," then snaps. What if he didn't take the stones right there, and that just bam, cut to black? That's the end of the movie.
That would
like Thanos wins again.
I think a lot of people would be pissed off.
No, I think Marvel would never. That would make for a damn good. If that whole end scene in Endgame happens, and then boom, Thanos gets the "I am inevitable," snaps, and it happens again, and it's just like, nah, guys, we're done. Like that's what happened. They're not.
They did.
No resurrections this time. Like they wouldn't have the balls to do it.
No, I mean you kill a multi-billion-dollar franchise at that point.
Well, that's what I said. I said they would have if they didn't kill off Black Panther and stuff with it. Like if they would have like kept some people, like I don't know, maybe the second snap changed things and like Tony died and Steve died, but Black Panther and Spider-Man came back. Because realistically speaking, that's all you lost.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think, dude, that would have been ballsy as fuck, and it would have been.
Oh,
would have been interesting.
It would have been like Seven if Seven had been a 10-year film series, and
right, yeah.
and and her head shows up in a box, and it's like that's not the way you go out of a movie and feel good about things. So,
Well, you don't always have to. Sometimes, just like in Seven, you need that. Right?
Into some dark shit, man.
You came out of Infinity War feeling that way. You got that feeling in Infinity War, and then you came back and saved it all. So I
Feeling
think
hopeless.
You kind of leave Endgame kind of sad though too. Like Tony's gone,
sure,
Steve's gone now in
there's the
some way.
sacrifice.
Like
But it's not an angry sad. It's a resigned sad. He did what he had to. You know,
right.
I don't know. I may be splitting hairs there, but yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I would still have been on board, but I think you lose a ton of the audience if you do that.
You probably would have, but that's why I said they would never have the balls to do it. But it would be great. Think of like an alternate ending for it. That would be cool. It's like, well, there it is. They did
Yeah.
open up the multiverse in some capacity. Then, like maybe it did happen somewhere else in there. But yeah, I don't think you would ever see Shazam die strictly for the fact that he's a kid. And I just don't think they would want to go that route.
What if he
Kinda
gives
bums
his
me out.
powers or gives his powers to somebody else? Like they could do that, where you don't. Because I that was the first thing I thought when you said he dies is, can you really kill a kid? But then I thought, well, maybe he passes his powers off to somebody. He's no
See,
longer
I
Shazam.
think that would have been cool if they didn't introduce a Shazamly.
The
Because that would have gave it
Shazam.
purpose, you know what I mean? If in the end they introduced, like if in the third movie they're fighting Black Adam and they can't win, so he then creates the Shazamly to take him down, but then like loses his powers as a result or something. Like I feel
Yeah.
like that would have been like actually kind of cool, like in a good way to end everything. Because then it's like we lost Shazam, but now they're like kind of the same way as like Tony sacrificed himself.
What if he has to sacrifice his powers to take Black Adam's powers?
So they both
But
die.
yeah. Well, they don't die, but they lose their power. They lose their ability to.
Well, that's the thing. If Black Adam loses his powers, he does die because of how old he is.
True.
They've played with that.
That's true. I always liked that caveat, though.
Sometimes, yeah, there's that asterisk that if he transforms back, he's this millennia-old guy, and of course, it's going to be dead. He fades away to dust. But then others have played with it as he's still the same person. He's just
powerless.
Yeah,
powerless.
Right. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I think it'd be definitely interesting. I would have to say though, as far as like dreaming about the Superman thing, I'd kind of just like to see I didn't really offer this question up or this choice up when I asked, but I just would like to see Superman kind of mentor Shazam in like some way. Like if Superman has to fight Black Adam, like maybe Superman comes across Black Adam, beats his ass in like Black Adam 2, and then Shazam 3 comes around and now he's out trying to, he's fighting Shazam and stuff. Getting his, and then Black Adam's kicking Shazam's ass. But then Superman comes in and doesn't do it for him, but mentors him into like beating him himself. Like that's what I would like to see. Because I think, especially with the end of Shazam, they know each other. So I feel like that kind of like, I don't know. I've always liked the connection between Superman being like the Boy Scout and then Shazam is literally the Boy Scout because he's a kid.
Yeah.
So like they've always had that kind of like cool relationship, in my opinion. So I'd like to see that, no matter kind of despite whatever happens. But if you guys got nothing else, let's get on with this because we got a couple more things we got to talk about. We've been going for an hour and a half, so we got to move this thing along. So let us know what you guys think about the Black Adam stuff down in the comment section below. Because like I said, I think of all the panels, that one kind of blew me away. But we're gonna hustle through some of this because we've been going on for a while. The next thing we're gonna go over is the Flash and the Batfleck news. So when there's a couple of takeaways I had from this in particular. One, I want to kick this off is I really do hope that the fact that because we have the confirmation that Ben Affleck is coming back for this movie along with Michael Keaton and everything, but I want to reiterate the fact that I do hope that Ben Affleck agreed to come in and do this Flash movie on the condition that they gave him his solo Batman movie to put on HBO Max or something. We get Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke. I hope that's the condition, because like everyone's saying, like maybe Ben's coming back just to give his Batman a proper send off in this movie, which is definitely possible. That's absolutely possible, but also not needed really in any way either. I think a real, true, proper send off, and I told you the same thing last week, Rick, when this news dropped. A real proper send off would be giving the man his goddamn movie that he spent 2 years writing, created and casted Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke.
You just want to see the movie. But no, I do too.
Everybody wants to see that movie. John, I bet you want to see that movie and you don't even really like Ben Affleck's Batman, right? You still want to see that movie.
No, let's be fair. I have my issues with with Murder Batman, but
Right.
but yeah, I like Batman. I like his Batman, and I definitely want to see that movie. I mean, if all I ever get of Deathstroke is him standing on a boat talking to Luthor, I'm going to feel very cheated.
Especially considering the Luthor we got. Like, not that, like, I don't like absolutely like shit on Jesse's Lex.
Oh, I thought it was awful.
Well, we never got to see him evolve into anything.
No.
So, like, if we get stuck with like he's really just kind of that one dimensional, and we never see him again, he doesn't create the Injustice League like it was pretty much set up at the end of that. Because that's kind of what you were saying with the Black Adam stuff, and like you'd like to see that happen. They kind of set that up at the end of Justice League.
Yeah.
But who knows if we'll ever go there at this point? Because like especially now with like we don't know if Ben's coming back at all. Like it'd be kind of hard to have I mean, you could do without Batman, but it gets kind of weird when you don't have Batman in a Justice League movie, in my opinion. Like, there's kind of 3 people you need in a Justice League, and like if you don't have one, it's kind of unless he's dead. If they kill him off, then like that's fine, I guess. But I don't want that to just be the end, just to kill him off for the sake of doing it. But one piece of information we did get out of not really a piece of information, but we got a couple things on the Flash panel. Flash panel wasn't like too insane, but we did get some concept art of the new suit. So the one thing that I like about this in particular is that it looks like one, it obviously kind of looks like the New 52 suit, but that aside, they're bringing the yellow Speed Force back to him. Not back to him, because Snyder had him with like whitish blue Speed Force, which you can still kind of see back there. But like he obviously is going to have yellow Speed Force effects. At least if they don't combine it, they're gonna straight up switch back to the classic yellow, it seems. Which that I am like,
that's what it's always been, right?
Yeah, like it's a stupid nitpick, but I never really understood. I don't know if it's just like a color grading thing with like Zack Snyder and how he color grades his movies. If like yellow was just kind of too off putting, and that's why he went with whitish blue, or if he just wanted a more realistic lightning kind of effect, and lightning is
it's not yellow.
Exactly. So like I don't know which direction. Maybe it was a little bit of both. But when it comes to the Flash and someone like running through space and time, essentially, I don't think your lightning has to be the correct color of Earth lightning at that point. I think you can take some liberties and keep it yellow, because I think it just fits better, especially with him wearing like a red suit. I don't know, just me. What did you guys think about the costume though? I know it's not like too much, but we got some good look about it. And then the other thing with it too, they confirmed that Bruce Wayne made him the new suit. But when Andy Muschietti said that, he's like, his good pal Bruce Wayne makes him the suit. But the concept art they have of his good pal Bruce Wayne is Michael Keaton's Batman. So like, and they never really confirmed this. Like, and it may have just been a coincidence that they like had this drawn up because Keaton signed up to be in the movie before they knew Ben was going to come back for the movie. Because it would make more sense for Ben's Batman to make him the suit. Like, it would make more sense. Like, you would think, logically speaking, it would make more sense. But if the new suit gets made in the other dimension, in the multiverse Batman world, that would also be kind of cool. But it was kind of fishy that, like, because everyone assumed the Ben Affleck's Batman was who he was talking about, but they had this picture up. So was it this Batman that made it?
Am I misremembering this? I thought I heard somewhere along the way that Zach had said that Ben's Batman actually did make Flash's suit in the Justice League movie. The Flash has more of a homemade type suit that he starts out with in Justice League, and that Ben's Batman makes him the movie. And my thinking was that in Flashpoint, we see Barry create the Flashpoint and Michael Keaton becomes the Batman of the Flashpoint world, and that's where the new suit comes from. That's where
they could be doing that. But they could
Okay.
also be going the same route as because what I initially thought with the way they were describing the movie and getting Ben to come back, it made it seem like Ben and him are gonna have some sort of relationship prior to Flashpoint, and then Flashpoint's going to happen, and then who knows where Michael Keaton's Batman comes. They obviously comes in there, but I just assumed like the way it had been described because that's definitely a possibility in my mind, in my own head canon. For whatever reason, I having like the movie opening, he already has his new suit, and we learned that like him and Bruce have gotten kind of close because they kept saying like him and Ben's Batman have the something in common because both their parents, both their moms were murdered, and like they're connected like on that level. So like I don't know. I had to in my own head canon. I had it set out that way that like Ben's Batman makes the suit. Flashpoint happens after that, and then that's what kind of has the more emotional weight to Barry because when he goes and creates Flashpoint, now his friend Bruce is completely fucking gone, and he's with this old Batman dude who's not the same guy. You know what I mean? It's just like kind of creates more drama, in my opinion, if you create that like friendship with Ben's Bruce. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Prior to Flashpoint.
You talked about in one of your previous episodes the fact that it sounds like Keaton's not just signed up for just this movie. That he is signed up for possibly multiple films.
Possibly.
That's crazy.
It's possible. And like
And
I think
like a mature type person for
and that's
DC.
yeah, and that's what I don't know. There hasn't been confirmation on that. Like there was an article saying that he's like potentially signed up for more roles or more like in the future and could be playing like the report said like a Nick Fury-esque kind of role, which made no sense to me. But like I guess I get what they were getting at because like Nick Fury just kind of like pops in and pops out of things, but it never made too much sense just knowing that he's in a different multiverse. Like so I don't know how that would if Flash is just he's gonna run over there and chat with him and run back real quick or something like this. That it never made sense unless they were gonna like somehow bring him back, but it just didn't make sense. I was really mainly hoping like I really don't care to see him in the suit again. I would have much rather Michael Keaton's Batman been like doing the Batman Beyond thing when Barry shows up. But I'm a huge Batman Beyond fan. But I just think that would have been a lot cooler than I don't know. Michael Keaton's Batman is gonna be like really old, so he's gonna be having to like using like an armored kind of like robotic suit, like an Iron Man suit, in my opinion.
Yeah, something that'll assist him with age.
Yeah.
In the Flashpoint, something happens to Bruce and we backdoor our way into a Batman Beyond movie.
I mean, dude, I'm
right?
down.
Like I'm hoping because that's like you said, and I know you guys definitely talked about excuse me, this earlier. If they do use Michael Keaton as a Batman Beyond Bruce at some point, this would be the perfect way to reintroduce the character, set the world and the tone for that, and then release a Batman Beyond film later down the road.
Yeah, I were 100%. That would be if they were gonna do Batman Beyond. I think that would be the perfect way to do it. Because kind of like we said with like the JSA thing, like audiences being like unaware. Like I know that's always in the back of people's mind, but like that's an easy way to convince somebody to go see a movie. Is like Michael Keaton's back as Batman, but he's mentoring, Terry McGinnis. Like, if you get to see him in the suit again in Flashpoint, and they kind of set up the Batman Beyond potential there, then like it's a shoe in right there. Because then you have the added benefit of like they're having, like I said in the top of the show, a fun way to do a multiverse thing. They use Ezra Miller's Flash to literally spring off the Batman Beyond franchise, but it's like a backdoor thing because they use Michael Keaton's Batman in a very pure and natural way. Like he still is like when Ezra meets him, he's Batman in like an Iron Man kind of suit assisting him. But like maybe there's a post-credit scene where maybe the beginning of Batman Beyond, if you remember what it is, when like he has like his heart attack or whatever. Maybe that happens in the post-credit scene, and it's literally that's all that happens, and it's just a tease that like, oh shit, like it's Batman. That's all you would need to do, and then like people would know, like the Batman Beyond fans would know what they're doing, but then all the Michael Keaton Batman fans would just be like, "Holy shit, did he just die?" Like,
Yeah.
they just went cut to black. Like, what the fuck? Now then
Yeah.
they're gonna think like Flash has to go back and save him. Like, what's going on? Like, it'd be a good cliffhanger for people who have no idea what's going on, but it'd also be an amazing way to set up Batman Beyond, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I'm hoping out of the Flash movie. Like, in my opinion, was there anything else you guys saw about the Flash thing?
I think
No?
we pretty much covered it.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to this. Let us know down in the comment section below if you're kind of hoping the same as I am, at least that they use this like and leverage their fun multiverse idea that they have to backdoor this thing into a Batman Beyond movie, just like the Black Adam. Like I said before, it would be a perfect way to just backdoor their way into a JSA franchise too. So just let us know down in the comment section below. Now, let's get into some hallelujah stuff here.
Oh,
We're gonna get
yeah.
into the Snyder Cut. The trailer came out here, guys, and it wasn't anything that I don't know blew my socks off, but I wasn't really expecting too much. There's been a lot of people. There was this article this dude wrote, just like, oh, so the Snyder Cut's pretty much just the same movie with some deleted scenes, and then Zack Snyder apparently got really like snarky about it. I don't know what he said. I didn't read the article. I just read. I heard some people talking about it, and I don't really care about like drama kind of shit. I just like to talk about the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
But
The guy commented that he commented on the trailer before it had debuted on Fandom because it leaked like 3 or 4 hours early.
oh,
And
did
this
it?
guy went out and watched it and was tweeting about it. And Zach basically took him to task for that, but then also said, way to tweet about a what did he say? Stolen trailer or something along those lines. So
That's kind of shitty.
a leaked trailer.
Yeah. See, that makes sense too. That makes actually. See, the when I heard someone talking about it, I didn't know like that occurred. That they was like commented on it being leaked, because that would make so much more sense for Zach to have a much more negative attitude about it too.
Yeah.
Like him. So that actually kind of makes a whole lot of sense. But I think the best thing that we all got, which I guess we all kind of expected that we would get from the new Snyder Cut trailer, was our first look at the big man himself, like a first higher res picture of the big man himself. Doesn't look as I don't know. I pictured him in
It's
maybe
not what I
just,
pictured it looking like.
maybe I just am used to him and prefer him in his armor. Like maybe that's the only because I know like in Rick we were talking about this before. Zack Snyder commented that the dark side stuff primarily like this is a flashback. This is during the Amazonian battle. So thousands of years ago when like the Green Lanterns and the Atlanteans and the Amazons, that whole scene from the original Justice League, it wasn't Steppenwolf, it was Darkseid there. So maybe it makes sense that he's not wearing his more modern armor. But at the same time, like there's literally like knights there wearing suits of armor. So like I don't kind of a stupid way of not putting him in armor. I don't mind how he looks though, like overall. I think he looks pretty good. The CG I don't think is quite as there as like Thanos CG, but
True.
I'm glad we're getting Darkseid in general, which is what like I don't if they weren't going to show Darkseid in the trailer, they probably wouldn't have even made the trailer because that's all anybody really cared to see, and that was really the only new thing. Like in all honesty, like there was really nothing else of note really going through it other than like it looks like more nightmare stuff they're probably going to show off at some point, which I liked the nightmare stuff like a lot in BVS. Like I thought that would be like really cool for them to explore further. It was pretty much like a take on Injustice Gods Among Us, but like with Darkseid. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So I always thought that like that would be a really cool thing for him to do. I would almost hope, like speaking of which, since they're leaning into multiverse, like Injustice sold like crazy good for them, both in video game and comic book form, and it was like an award-winning comic book, if I'm not mistaken. So, dude, I'd love to see them do an actual Injustice movie. I think that'd be incredible.
That would be cool.
I've watched. I did hear somebody comment after the Suicide Squad trailer that like, are they ever going to let Superman just be a good guy in a video game? And like, I worry about the oversaturation of Superman as a bad guy, which is a fun concept to play with. I just don't need it every other movie.
I agree, and I think I'll tell you what. I think the reason they do that, and at least well, Injustice made it like really cool, like because they told a really good story with it and gave like a very good reason behind it, in my opinion. And then it had been done before, like Darkseid has mind controlled him, Brainiac has mind controlled him, and like set him loose on the city. Well, it's happened before in the comic to some degree, but I think the reason it happens and kind of took off with a lot of people in modern day is that what?
Well, Richard Pryor dropped that green rock on him in Superman 3 and made him bad. So
well, yeah, there you go. And I don't. Do we talk about Superman 3 though? Like, I don't know.
He said barf like a peanuts.
Yeah. But I think the reason people like grew to it though was the same reason for like the god. It's like the God Man complex. Like he's too powerful, and a lot of people don't like Superman because he's too powerful. So I think modern audiences like actually really appreciated him being the bad guy more so than him being the good guy in some ways. Like I think that's just kind of how it evolved because he was like so played out like over the years, and he was just too OP, and you knew everything was gonna be fine if Superman was there. So then like all these stories started happening where they kill him, like Doomsday kind of stuff, or they turn him bad. And I agree that it has been like played out, but I think like that's I don't know. I feel like that's probably the reason why it like kind of took off with modern audiences. Because I either feel like there's people who like Superman, or there's people who just hate Superman. And when I ask them why, they say it's because he's just too OP. And I'm like, well,
that's how I used to feel.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a lame reason in my opinion, but like I do accept it to some degree. Is like he is very OP. So I don't know. There wasn't a whole lot more with the Snyder Cut stuff, though. There are just some kind of like the dude said. There are just like the Iris West stuff's gonna be in there, so I mean it'll be cool to see that stuff. The one thing I did think was kind of interesting was Zach was said that Cyborg was like the heart and soul of the movie, which
that is interesting.
You wouldn't know that watching the Joss cut, Justice League. You wouldn't know
Justice League,
and you'd have no idea because he's like. He's in the movie, but he's not. He's just kind of there in that movie, which I mean makes you understand why. I don't know. The Ray Fisher had so many problems.
Way that he did, yeah.
But I'm all in all, I think the trailer was good. It didn't really get me like too hyped though.
That shot was awesome. I'm assuming that's Assad.
That's the thing. I don't know.
They said it was.
They said this. He said this is.
I was reading an article and they pointed it out that's who that was.
Okay, because like if you look at the other one, like the other pick from before, he had his classic chin guard on.
Not Darkseid. Zod.
I forget the name, but it's definitely somebody who's confirmed.
Zod?
It's Desaad, D-E-S-A-A-D.
Oh, Desaad. Okay, that makes more sense.
I think that's what the name was. I forget.
Yeah. But... Okay. So I was like, that doesn't look like Darkseid at all. It being Desaad makes a lot more sense. Okay. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. Okay. But that's cool though, because he definitely wasn't in Justice League.
No, not at all. That's why like expanding the idea of the new gods and Apocalypse was very cool to see.
He's Darkseid's torture. I remember reading that. Like his like right-hand man kind of thing.
Yeah, no, that's good. I thought you said Darkseid, and I was like, is it though? Because like I was confused as to who the fuck that was.
Late, I'm probably slurring my words at this point.
Yeah. And then we saw that old boy's dad dies again. I say dies again just because of Terminator 2, but
yeah,
like, that's what everybody knows that dude from. But
it's a good scene.
It is a great scene. That's a great movie, dude. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got a nice shot of what Steppenwolf is really supposed to look like. So like I'm looking forward to like not seeing that shitty version of Steppenwolf that we got.
Yeah, that
like
was awful.
In all honesty, like no offense, but like Steppenwolf just looked like shit in that movie. Like, But yeah, then we got Black Suit Superman out of it, which is going to be cool. We already knew that was coming. Just another scene that we didn't really have. But all in all, I guess the trailer did what it's supposed to do. It got me I don't know. I'm already excited to see the Snyder Cut, so I don't think it really like bumped the needle. I just really liked seeing like the new God designs and everything more so than anything, and just seeing that they were obviously like much more involved in some capacity. Probably not like in a huge way, but they're definitely like much more involved. than in Justice League because they weren't involved at all. So that's gonna be nice. So, you guys got anything else you want to cover on Justice League? Did I miss anything? That was pretty much all I had on it.
Yeah,
I like the format, the 4 1 hours. I think that's a good way.
that is cool.
Yeah, I guess
and
we
then
should. Yeah,
the idea that they'll combine it all at a later date for people that want it that way.
right. And there was, I think I made this point before with Rick when we talked about it. It makes sense, and I kind of touched on it before here too, because if they're gonna have, it's a better sell for HBO Max as far as budgetary purposes for their books, as opposed to spending 100 million to make a movie. They can spread the thing out over 4 weeks, spend 25 million an episode. Like that works better in their book.
Did you hear there was another person that did a breakdown of it that said that in addition to the actual hour-long footage, there's going to be something else each night. I don't know if it's going to be like a making of, if it's going to be a commentary. I don't know what it is, but there's going to be something else tied with it each night that it comes out to make it more of a full event each night than just the 1 hour episode.
I bet it's probably going to be the same thing they did after like Game of Thrones, like a look into the episode.
Okay.
That would be my guess. I didn't read that article, but they did that with every episode of Game of Thrones. Some of them are better than others, but like that's what I would guess, which would be pretty cool, especially like because like with the Snyder Cut, you could make a full documentary about it, and it'd be like a full hour and a half, 2 hour like documentary about everything that like, and it'd be compelling, dude. Like, because even Zach was like talking to the person who got the billboard, done all that stuff, man. Like, it'd be compelling. So that stuff would be pretty cool to see some more behind the scenes stuff.
I really quick too. I hate to be this guy, and I've never done this in the history of our show. I've got to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
It happens, my man. We're gonna move on to the Suicide Squad stuff though. Yeah. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to touch on with Justice League?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a pretty entertaining thing. If nothing else, it'll be historic, right? First time they go back and recut a movie with the original director.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, and that's why I said like I would literally watch an entire documentary over this thing because like you got to think like it would be kind of like I don't know. It could be like it could tug on your heartstrings because they could go over like all this shit that he went through on set, not the like the shitty WB stuff, but it's like the loss of his daughter, and then the difficulties with the movie in general, and then I mean just everything. Like, and then you lead into how he felt when he had to step away from the movie, and then all the things that just it'd be a fucking awesome documentary, dude.
It would be. It would be a really cool like redemption story arc to see him finally get to come back and finish it. Do you feel do you feel once this is all done, once it's out and HBO Max has it and it's aired, do you feel that last hour episode is going to feel anticlimactic, knowing what we kind of know about where the story is going and what or do you think there's a possibility we may get more in the future?
Here's the thing. I feel two ways about that. One, I would tell you yes, that it would feel kind of like initially offhand, it would feel a bit anticlimactic in some capacity because we know how it ends. Even without knowing, like, let's say we didn't know all the news that like Ben Affleck it was done with Batman, and like if everything was how it was, whatever, like a year ago, and we were just told, well, Zach's going to finish this movie. You'd always be stuck, at least in my opinion, like, the ending is still pretty much the same, like, of the movie in general. But knowing what we know now with, like, Ben coming back, it opens the door a lot more for them to continue doing stuff with the Snyderverse of things. Like, I think Ben coming back signifies that more. I mean, I guess the fact that they're letting Snyder even do it is a pretty big indication that they're willing to keep it on and keep it going in some capacity. But really,
if this does Game of Thrones numbers, which I don't know, I don't know I don't know what those numbers are or what it would have to do to reach that. If this does Game of Thrones numbers, do you think that's enough for them to go back to Zach and say, "Hey, let's finish it out. Let's give you the budget, the 25 mil per episode or the 30 mil per episode, and give us 6 more hours that finishes out your story."
Potentially. I would say it would
Okay.
be. I would say there's a two-part answer to that. I feel like the old regime would have definitely done that because they'd be a lot more reactionary with it. But
Okay.
just the fact that Zach is being like allowed to do it and then Ben is coming back makes me feel like if Walter Hamada and them have any inkling of wanting like any, let's say they don't have a plan for it now, but I feel like them allowing Snyder to come back and do this and then them bringing Ben in, I think that alone kind of tells that they already like they're open to the option of continuing work with Zach in the DC universe in some capacity. Because if
Yeah.
they were done with him altogether, I don't think it would care how big of a movement there was for the Snyder cut. It wouldn't have mattered if they were done with him. They would be done with him because like they're literally having they're spending like almost $100 million to get this done. I don't feel like you do that and then get Ben Affleck to come back without having even an inkling of an option in the back of your mind to let's keep doing work. You know, if this is successful, maybe we can do more. Like that option, I feel like already has to be there in my opinion. Not that they're
Okay.
going to do it, but I feel like it's just there already. So, like, to answer your question, kind of yes. Like, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's going to be only because it was successful. I think like they already have kind of set that in motion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. But what do you guys think? Do you think I'm kind of talking crazy with that? Do you think do you think that Ben Affleck, just like me, and I hate to keep sticking on the Ben Affleck Batman thing, but I want that damn solo movie. So that's just where I just want that damn solo movie. But do you guys think that Ben Affleck coming back, kind of like me, and the fact that Zach again has even been optioned getting this, getting to finish a Snyder cut, kind of lends some more, you know, more credence to the fact that maybe DC is looking and Warner Brothers is looking to do more work in the Zack Snyder verse of DC. Just let us know down in the comment section below. All right, so the next thing we're going to get into here is the Suicide Squad panel. So this one probably, though, as far as an overall panel goes, in my opinion, was probably the best one, just as a panel event kind of thing. I was like I kind of said at the top of the show, I was kind of bummed out there wasn't not really wasn't bummed. I liked the footage we got, but I was expecting a full trailer.
Yep.
I was just expecting a full trailer to kind of get an idea of where the story was going. Because and then with the behind the scenes sizzle reel that they had, it kind of was confusing to some degree because it looked
It
like
was.
Mongal was working with.
I will say just really quick too, I like the way Harley Quinn looks now. I know we'll get into that, but
That's one of the main things I was going to get into. Actually, was like that's the
she looks like Harley Quinn.
The costume that she has is reminiscent to the Arkham costume, which, in my opinion, was like the best, most practical Harley Quinn costume that they ever did. Like that was my favorite Harley Quinn costume. Like, yeah, the classic like animated series Harley Quinn thing is like all fun and cheeky and shit, but like that's just so much more practical and it looks
She
great.
just looks like Harley Quinn.
Yeah, it looks absolutely like it looks great. I was honestly super shocked in her own movie she didn't have that suit.
Yeah, really.
Like I expected her to like whip that out in the third act or something.
She didn't have like anything throwing
No,
back to that.
like it was
totally different.
It was, but I'm definitely I'm with you to where it was. I'm glad that boom, we got that out of it. But like I said, like Mongal's here, which is really cool. But it looks like she's fighting with them, which when we first saw set photos, like there were a while back, some set photos leaked before they were done filming, and like you could see the Mongal character, and it was prior to her being confirmed in the movie or anything. And I just assumed she would be like the bad guy, like just because of like Mongol and War World and whatever. I figured they were doing something crazy like that, which would have been at the same time kind of a weird thing for the Suicide Squad to handle. But like it's honestly even more confusing that to me anyway for Mongal to be like with the Suicide Squad. Maybe I'm missing something from like the comics. If Mongal was ever actually a part of the Suicide Squad, I don't know, but I didn't think so. So, and we did get a full another look at the the Harley Quinn costume, which it looks good, man. It looks
Yep.
it looks great. We got the full cast list from them though, which I do not recall everybody off the top of my head, but he got some obscure ass characters in there, like Weasel, Polka Dot Man,
Polka Dot Man, yeah.
like literally, like, which is why I'm like, there's no other director other than James Gunn would have, like, I think, gone as deep as he did for this. Because, like, you were just saying off camera something about like deep cuts, and I feel like this movie is probably just gonna be littered with deep cuts. I mean, the cast alone is already pretty littered with some, if not deep cuts, some more obscure cuts for sure, which I find interesting. So it's a nice little pick of a full squad. And then I'm really excited to see John Cena in this.
Yeah.
Because he said during
Douchey Captain America.
Douchey Captain America. Yeah, and I was like, well, yeah, that makes total sense.
That's
like,
John Cena.
That's exactly who John Cena would be playing. So like I'm looking forward to that shit. You glad that do it?
Rick did his "You Can't See Me."
Yeah. I did my John Cena.
Are you guys like kind of bummed or happy about how do you feel about like the returning cast that we do have, like Boomerang, Harley Quinn, and Rick Flag, and then Waller? Are you guys like good with? Are you glad those ones are back, or would you have rather seen like all a new one, like a whole new cast altogether?
I think it's cool that they've got some people from, you know.
Yeah, I mean, they already established Waller in the first movie, and Waller's so integral to Task Force X. Task Force.
100%.
That yeah, I feel like bringing her back was a no-brainer. And then yeah, I'm fine with the others. I mean,
I'm glad that
so big. Such
it's
a big cast.
massive cast, dude. That's why Joel Kinnaman even said like, don't get it. I feel like James Gunn's gonna kill like everybody off here.
Yeah.
Probably.
Like
that was a pretty big hint that he said, like, don't get attached.
The only people who are gonna probably survive this are probably gonna be the same ones that survived the first one, I think, and maybe Weasel.
Hopefully Weasel.
Like, I seriously think that's probably gonna be it. Like, I'm not even kidding.
I can only hope Weasel lives,
because like it's interesting because like I feel like they got like they had to replace, because everyone thought initially that Idris Elba was just going to be playing Deadshot.
That's what I thought.
And just replace Will Smith. But like they I forget what his name is right now, his character's name, but he's pretty much a Deadshot-esque character anyway. This guy with a bunch of guns. Like, so I mean,
Idris Elba.
Yeah. I mean, but I like, again, I love Idris Elba, and like I just feel like him not being like, not that you need to be, but I feel like the fact that he is playing one of those more obscure kind of guys, probably gonna die. Which is like, and also would be kind of out of left field because people would expect someone of the caliber of an actor like him to not die.
Yeah.
And I could totally see them like killing someone like him off.
Look at Brad Pitt in Deadpool 2.
Right. But like, and that's the thing, I could see them doing the bait and switch, and like John Cena, I feel like 100% is going to survive.
He's John Cena.
Well, like he's, I'm not even kidding with you. Have you guys seen him in like in comedic roles?
He's funny.
He's hilarious.
Yeah,
like, he has great natural comedic timing, and I think he will literally be like the Drax of this movie.
That's what I was thinking,
and that's why I think like of all of these people from the newcomers to stay, I think John Cena is probably going to be that one. Like, in all honesty, and I don't know. It depends. The character might kind of suck though. You never really know. But I just feel like the character is going to be like a very like Drax-esque character, and we're like, he's probably going to stay. I feel like pretty much everyone else is going to die, like some capacity. But then James Gunn said that like Rat Trap 2 is like who he would like want to be, so that makes me think that he like probably like did some cool shit with her. So like, I don't know anything about that character though. So like,
well, Ratcatcher, yeah, she was originally the first Ratcatcher is a obscure Batman villain. I forgot until they did this segment that there was a second one that was a female. So yeah, it's oof. I don't know where he's going.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I saw this whole cast list, there were literally people that like I forgot even existed. Like, and I literally, I had heard the name Ratcatcher before, but like I knew nothing. I didn't know it was a Batman villain until you just said it. Like I knew
Yeah.
it was a thing, but like I wouldn't have been able to pull that in a trivia show. Like it wouldn't have worked. I wouldn't have got it, you know. But I'm looking forward to this. I will say though, even though we didn't get a full trailer to it, though, like the behind the scenes stuff for it,
It looked good.
looked really good.
Yeah.
And then I thought it was pretty interesting that James Gunn said that this is like the biggest movie that he's ever made. Like, and he said like it was the best experience he had working on like any movie in his career, which I like hearing that stuff because that just hopes that gives me hope that this is going to be like a really good movie.
Yeah.
And not just like, you know, it was good. Like it makes me think it's going to be like a great movie to some
Yeah.
degree.
Well, and this could be a really interesting franchise, since everything needs to be franchised. But like you said, they could kill off everybody and then still mine all the D and C list characters of the DC universe and do a whole nother Suicide Squad next time. So
Exactly.
you know, only carry through one or two characters per movie to the next one.
That's
So-
one thing that this franchise has over a lot of other ones too, is like it's kind of like an outlet for them to really like use the like below
Polka
D
dot
list
man.
characters. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah.
you get the E list characters out of this.
Hey.
Like and you can use them. Like
You throw in some P's and some Q's on that. too.
you could. Like and I mean it's like they already are just like I'm surprised Kite Man ain't popping up in this thing.
Kite Man.
Like I mean Kite
Hell yeah.
Man's popping off in the Harley Quinn animated show. And like and that's why I'm glad I was honestly I never thought Killer Croc being in the first one made any sense. And I was like, why didn't they use King Shark? Like, and now like he is using King Shark. So like I'm super excited to see that because just Killer Croc is best suited in my opinion just for I don't know, not that much. He's not that interesting of a character in my opinion, but King Shark is cool, dude. Like you can't go wrong with King Shark, especially like the way since he's also been popping off in the Harley Quinn show. Like, why not use King Shark? Because you can do so much cool shit with him. And then even the Suicide Squad game, which we'll talk about here in just a second, same thing. They knew you throw King Shark in here, like. So I'm looking forward to that. Like I'm all in all, like I was actually pretty. We're gonna get into that here in a second. I'm looking forward to the Suicide Squad movie though. I'm just bummed there wasn't a trailer. That's it, man. You guys got anything else?
I don't see how you go wrong with James Gunn. I mean,
yeah,
I agree.
I would not bet against James Gunn at this point. But what another thing too is like
DC's Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's what I'm saying. It has the potential to be 100%, especially with James Gunn behind it. It has more potential than ever before. But I like too that I hope because James Gunn comes from making like movies like Super and like Slither and stuff, and like he didn't really use any of those sensibilities too much in like Guardians of the Galaxy or anything. But like Suicide Squad kind of lends itself to being able to be like a little bit more dark and like weird like those movies. So I'd like to see a mix of both those James Gunn sensibilities and his Guardian sensibilities, because Suicide Squad is like the perfect platform for him to get like kind of dark and weird at the same time, as opposed to just weird.
Yeah.
You know? Like I don't know if they're gonna ever go that route with it, but like the option is there if like you never know. If James Gunn had as good of a time making this movie and all that stuff, there's a pretty solid chance he'd probably come back to do a sequel if this one's successful and DC wants more of them. So I'm hoping the movie's good and he comes back to do another one if it's good. So, but that pretty much covers it for the Suicide Squad stuff, guys. So just let us know what you guys think about it down in the comment section below. We're gonna keep this trucking along because we've been going a little bit overtime here. So the next thing we're gonna get into is the video game announcement stuff. First off with the old Gotham Knights here. I don't know why it's going down to that. Hold on. We got the Gotham Knights. And I'll tell you what, John, I don't know about Rick, you didn't really play the Arkham games,
I did
right?
not.
Well, here's the thing. And you remember that Deathstroke fight you were talking about between Batman and Deathstroke? Okay, that was from the Arkham Origins game, right?
Yeah.
And the Arkham Origins game was made by WB. It was the only one that was made in the Arkham line that was made by WB Montreal, and then Arkham City and Arkham Knight and the first Arkham game was made by Rocksteady. I really liked Arkham Origins. Like I thought that was like honestly, I liked that more than Arkham City. Like in all honesty, like I really did. When I played through it, I think it was just the story that I liked more, and I got Deathstroke was in it.
Okay.
Deathstroke was in it, so I was sold from the beginning. You know, like I liked that storyline more than I did in Arkham City.
I will give you. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Gameplay wise, not as much because like Arkham City was a big ass open world. It was a lot more fun to play, and like you felt like you were Batman in Gotham in Arkham City, especially compared to Arkham Asylum, where it was linear. You didn't have like an open world experience in Arkham Asylum, which you shouldn't have because it was based in Arkham. But the actual story of Origins was like super cool. Like I don't know, I just really liked like all the assassins going after Batman, like it was on like Christmas or whatever, and like I just thought it was really cool. And then you pretty much wrap the game up with Deathstroke, and it's like that Ben Affleck Deathstroke movie, man. It's like that's a good way to end everything. That's a good way to end things. And it was like the best Deathstroke costume like to date, like was that one, and that's why Joe Manganiello's costume looked exactly like it. It was literally pulled off of the Arkham games because it's that goddamn good. So like I don't know, I'm pretty excited for it. And then the main thing with well, that has me more excited for this than what we actually saw from the game, I would say. Because the only thing I was talking about this prior to getting any information about Suicide Squad, which the game, which we're going to jump into here in just a second as well. I'm wondering if this, just like we were confirmed that the Suicide Squad game, it has very similar gameplay to Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Because you're co-oping between all four essentially of the squad. And like I was telling Rick before when the first teaser for the Suicide Squad game came out, that was the one thing I kind of hoped they went with, as opposed to just making an Arkham game with the Suicide Squad characters, because you kind of got a taste of like Rocksteady dipped their toes in the water of kind of the co-op gameplay in Arkham Knight. Like there were a couple missions where there were two people there and you could back and forth between them. And I immediately thought, well, I hope for the Suicide Squad game that you can do that, because that would add another layer of just, I don't know, gameplay and enjoyment and give it a little bit of separation from this being an Arkham game. So I'm hoping the same for this, and I don't know if maybe I missed it during the panel. This was one of them where I was actually in the middle of playing Final Fantasy. So I really wasn't paying too much attention. I was in that dungeon in Final Fantasy 14 when this one came on. So I saw some of the gameplay like clip through, but I was just kind of glancing back over to it, and I just had a lot of the vibes of kind of Arkham Origins. It reminded me of Arkham City or anything. But the fact that you have these four Bat family characters, I'm wondering if they're going to be going that same route as like the Suicide Squad game is, or if it's just going to be a more linear story like the Arkham games are. So, like, what would you rather see out of it? Because it's kind of a weird thing that like we're getting two different games like pretty much set in the exact same universe at this point. Because I think didn't both publishers say that they both exist in the same world?
I did not hear that for Knights.
I know they said for Suicide Squad.
Definitely confirmed that Suicide Squad was a continuation of the Arkham series. Yeah. But I did not hear that for Knights. If it is, great. If not, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. These shots right here that they did, the characters with the logos superimposed behind them, were incredibly cool shots. I know it was just a teaser and stuff, but man, that's
it was cool though.
If you're a DC fan, it's pretty dope seeing those.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely like I'm gonna play the game. I mean, if it's I haven't been let down by any of these games really. My enjoyment of them kind of tapered off. Like I played through them all, obviously, but it was a lot of more of the same. It was just beat 'em up as Batman, you know. And like the Arkham Knight storyline kind of just like bored me because I knew it was just gonna be the same story we've already seen before. Just he's Arkham Knight now instead of Red Hood.
Yeah.
So it kind of bummed
So
me out.
here's what I think story wise. I don't believe that this one will be in the Arkhamverse. Because of the tease at the end with the Court of Owls. I don't believe them when they say that Batman is dead. It starts off with Batman initiating the code black to all them and saying, if you're getting this, it's because I'm dead.
Right.
I think that this is some sort of Bruce has gone underground to fight the Court of Owls somehow, fight them on their own turf, more or less, and for all intents and purposes, everybody thinks he's dead, but at the end of the game, you see him come back in some fashion.
That makes sense. I mean, I definitely don't think he's dead. That wouldn't make any sense. It's just like they're not going to kill
And
him.
the end of Arkham Knight had him pretty well dead. Although you do have that weird cutscene at the end with the.
Well, see, that's why I was curious if it was connected, because it seemed like they could have loosely connected this to that, and the Bruce that they showed did kind of look like that same Bruce. You know what I mean? Like, but I mean, it's a video game render of Bruce Wayne's. What else is he going to look like?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping the story's exciting. I mean, I know like a lot of everyone loves Court of Owls, so I hope and would assume they would do it justice. I mean, it's not like it's some random third party like making the game. It's the people who own the franchise making the game. So I'm sure they're going to stay true to everything as much as they can. I just hope that like unlike Arkham Knight, not that like Rocksteady is some like random third party publisher, but like the story for Arkham Knight was not nearly as compelling as it could have been. So I hope that this is a better step in that direction, along with the Suicide Squad game, for instance, which we're just going to jump right into now, our final topic of the show. This story actually does look compelling because even if it is kind of played out like kind of seen before, like, oh, Superman's bad guy again, but it's not just Superman, it's the whole Justice League. And I'll tell you what, anytime you throw me Brainiac, I'm happy. And it's just like, with the Henry Cavill Superman or Ben Affleck Batman, I'm a huge Brainiac fan, and he's never really been done any like justice on screen in anything. Never even been really used on screen. They used him in that Krypton show, but even that, I feel like the best, like some of the best interpretation of Brainiac as far as on screen goes, like to this day, has been the Justice League animated series when he like fused with Luthor.
Lex.
Oh man, I loved that. Like I thought that was awesome. Like, and then it led into the dark side stuff like so fluidly, and like the way they like weaved that like a Lex Luthor plot into a Brainiac plot into a dark side plot, I thought was like pretty great, especially for some random animated show. Not like random, but you know what I mean. And a kid show essentially, and they did it like so well. It was like done so well. So anytime I get to see like Brainiac, especially like in this level of detail, even to some capacity, looks crazy. Like I'm excited for it. And then obviously, like we said, we get some King Shark, and this King Shark seems to be acting more like the Harley Quinn animated show King Shark, which I don't know if I would imagine James Gunn's probably will too to some capacity. Because I think the fact that you have a giant talking shark, unlike how they use him in CW as just like a big monster guy, I think the best way to use him is as a comedic relief.
Yeah.
Because he's a fucking giant shark.
Yeah, exactly.
The absurdity of it. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like you have to just, he has to be Drax, essentially. That's how he has to act. And I feel like people gravitate to like that kind of personality of a giant shark more so than him just being a stereotypical big brooding shark man. So hope we see more of that. I think kind of what you were saying, evil Superman. I don't like the design of Superman though. I will say I thought he looked weird. Like his shoulders are too small and his chest is too
his
big.
delts are like out of proportion.
They didn't make it. Yeah, he's not a good.
His bicep to delt ratio is not.
His chest is like
huge.
His chest
that logo is. Oof.
I don't like the logo either. Yeah, but like it's just
massive.
I don't like the like it's it's really high up on his chest. His chest has a straight line and no muscle definition, and like his chest is literally starts at the bottom of his shoulders. That's not where your chest is down here. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not right. And they made all the other ones, like, the other people look normal. I don't know, like, Deadshot looks completely normal. And they made him, like, super jacked. But, like, they somehow make Superman just have, like, the weirdest fucking body shape that I've ever seen. I didn't like it. But it was a cool scene when this happens and he just, like, obliterates the dude. Like, I thought it was cool. Because I know it's been played out, John, but, like, I still like
Oh,
seeing
no.
Superman. I like seeing murder Superman on because it's just fun. You know what I mean?
Okay,
Like,
let me just clarify. That wasn't my complaint. It was something somebody said, and I felt like, yeah, I don't want
no,
to every other iteration to be evil Superman.
it's true because I mean, at some point, it's gonna be played out. Like,
Yeah.
you don't want to just keep doing it over and over again. But the only thing I will say though is where I'm happy at King Shark's in here though, they did make him kind of small. Like he's not like a super big. Like his head's really small.
Yeah.
Like they didn't
Mhm.
make him. Normally, he's much more shark-like. So like this is an interesting design because they made him much more humanoid shape than they
Sure.
typically do. You know what I mean? But overall, I think, like I said, kind of leading into this video with, or leading into the Suicide Squad game, when we were talking about Gotham Knights, I like that they went with the 4-player co-op thing because I think that was the main reason that I would like want to play it. Like other than like I just want to play through the story and see what's going on, but like I could also just always just read about the story and just kind of watch like a cutscene movie if I really wanted to. Like if I didn't really feel like if the gameplay was like just as monotonous as like the Arkham Knight gameplay, because that's the only thing. Like, as much as I like playing those games, like I like playing for the story more than anything. But like the combat in those games is like so repetitive. It's just over and over and over and over again the same thing. Just square, square, triangle, square, square, triangle. If you're on a controller, or left click, left click, left click, right click. You know what I mean? It's whatever you want to do. Pick your poison. It's just punch, punch, dodge, punch, punch, dodge. That's the game. Which kind of
Mhm.
that's why I need a compelling story to keep me going. That's why Arkham Origins like really worked for me, whereas Arkham Knight didn't. So I'm hoping they don't fall into the same pitfalls. And that's why Court of Owls, Gotham Knights rather, seems like it would have better potential up front. But then when I
Mhm.
saw like where they were going with this, because initially I thought it was kind of an absurd thing, just when the initial like poster tease was dropped of Suicide Squad to send the squad after the Justice League, I thought was a very stupid idea. I said it on the show. I was like, "Why is Waller sending them after the Justice League?
That's what I'm saying. Like they're
Like,
gonna die.
there's no point in that at all. Like this, especially when they put like the crosshair on Superman. I was like, well, you're not gonna win. Like it's just
Mhm.
it's not gonna work." But knowing that there's a little bit more to it now, and that Brainiac has burned them, presumably, that seems to be what is going on here, makes it a bit more compelling. Has it been done
Yep.
before? Yes, but it doesn't change the fact that it's still fun. Yeah, like,
Yeah.
I enjoy it. So I'm hoping it's a good game though. Would you which would above the two? Which one do you think that you'd be if you could only pick one game? Which one would you get? I'm probably asking John more than you because
Yeah.
you didn't watch the trailers, did you?
I did not,
Yeah, so and
unfortunately.
you don't really play the games that much, right?
You know.
You're not that big of a gamer, dude.
Uh,
You like skirting around
yeah.
scoot boards.
Yeah, I can't sit still for too long.
What would you, if you
Knights
could
be
pick one?
torture.
Gotham Knights.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I mean, on the one hand, Gotham Knights, you give me Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, Red Hood as playable characters. I'm all in. Huge Batman fan, all in, love that. But on the other hand, Rocksteady's games, just the quality is so. And WB Montreal knocked it out of the park with Arkham Origins, but that's been the only thing they've done that I've played for the most part. So maybe there's other stuff that I've missed. Um, but
What other
I don't know
Rocksteady
what that
games
would be.
have they made anything other than the Arkham games?
Rocksteady?
Yeah,
No, I mean not for the past decade. For the
that's
past
what
decade,
I thought that was all that they've made too. That's like it's like
yeah,
I feel like the games are so similar because obviously WB Montreal used like the same engine and everything that Rocksteady made for the Arkham games. Like, and if they
Sure.
didn't, they fucking mirrored it perfectly because it was
Yeah,
like
they
this.
did.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so like them, it's honestly just like super weird that like they're both putting out like a new property at the same time because it's they're gonna follow like those same pitfalls are there just times two now, right? That it's just they could just be the same, essentially the same game with different characters, like
Sure.
different. Obviously, you follow a different story, but like if the combat and everything is just exactly the same, not to mention if it's already going to be like too similar to the Arkham series, they kind of have to worry about now. Now, what if they're too similar to themselves at this point? Now you're
Did
releasing
you
two games that are like
did
the
you
same.
did you pick up on the fact that Rocksteady made a point of saying that I forget what the first half it was, but it was something about the combat was going to be something and gunplay. They made a point of pointing out that there was gunplay in it, which
Yeah,
makes sense for Deadshot and even Harley to an extent. But Boomerang, I mean, you're looking at a character if they're using Owen who's got super speed and boomerangs, no real guns. And King Shark is more of a tank type character. I know that he has the machine gun in there, but I found that interesting that they made a point of highlighting the gunplay.
yeah, and that's the thing I'm not sure of too, because like it's not like it's going to be first person shooter gunplay.
Yeah,
Like, so it seems like because what I took from it was that like they were like you could do if you want to fly around on your jetpack and then like they're like with Deadshot, then you could just switch over to like Harley Quinn and like grapple around and hit people with their baseball bat, and then like Boomerang just kind of like I don't know, did he have like super speed or could teleport or something all of a sudden?
yeah. They're using the original Captain Boomerang's son, I believe, Owen, who does have super speed.
Okay.
So I think that's what that was.
Okay, because that's what, yeah, I was noticed. Like, I was like, does he have like a Deadpool teleport device or something? Because he was just like zipping around on there.
Yep.
Again, I was in the middle of playing Final Fantasy when this came on, so I wasn't really watching. Like in play, I wasn't like I was already kind of on the fence with this stuff just because of I got kind of tired of the Arkham franchise. Like towards the, I didn't
Yeah.
even finish the playthrough of Arkham City. I got to the Arkham Asylum, or no, goddamn, Arkham Knight.
Arkham Knight.
I got to the end and like where you have to fight Jason in the Batmobile, and
Yeah.
I died one time,
The
and I was
tank
like,
sequence.
yeah, and I was like, I don't even care about this because I already know where the fucking story goes. So like, I just quit
Yeah.
playing. I didn't feel like doing it again. And yeah, so I mean, I was kind of like on the fence with all this stuff until like I went back and watched it and saw like, oh, Brainiac's here, so that's cool. Like, and it
Yeah.
piqued my interest a bit more. And then like, but I don't know, like it's gonna live or die by the gameplay for me, or I guess, yeah, no, it will be because if the story's cool, then it's I don't know. It depends on how predictable it is for me to want to like play through it because if I know what's going on and I'm not compelled by it, I don't want to have to deal with the same monotonous gameplay. I already play MMOs, so I deal with enough monotonous gameplay. So like I can't do it like I can't keep doing it for different games. When I play a different game,
Sure.
I need to play a different game. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? That's why like that's why I really just stick to shooters and MMOs because it's like they're both the games I play are already repetitive. You know what I mean? So when like I need a little bit more diversity in there. That's why I was kind of excited about the co-op stuff because that's why I've always really liked about playing Ultimate Alliance. And then like, did you ever play the Justice League game that they made? That was played exactly like Ultimate Alliance.
Oh yeah, back on the Xbox,
Yeah, yeah,
Justice League Heroes, I think,
yeah, something like that. I
something
love
like that.
that game.
Yeah,
Was so
that
good.
was a good game.
That was
Yeah, great
way.
game.
I was so shocked that they didn't have a sequel or anything because like the story was
Yeah,
great and it was like way better than Marvel, the Ultimate
yeah.
Alliance or whatever was out at the time because it either came out when Marvel Ultimate Alliance like 1 came out or it was when X-Men was doing
X-Men
it. I
Legends.
think it was
Yep,
X-Men Legend. So like
yep,
it was old and it was literally on the first Xbox,
yep.
the big black box Xbox. And yeah, that game was awesome. Like I loved that
Oh, I
game.
still got it. I still got it set up. So yeah,
Yeah, it was
I
great.
pull I pulled out every year or so. I'll look at it again, play. It's a great
Just
game.
it's great, and there was a story that was like kept me compelled through it. Like,
Yep.
because I mean, and then it has the gameplay enough, the RPG-esque gameplay with it enough to like kind of it kept me interested, because you kept
Yeah, yeah.
upgrading your character a little bit, which is what like Ultimate Alliance is pretty good at. As long as the story's good and you get some rewards out of the gameplay and like things change and adapt enough, then I'm good. That's really all
Yeah.
I'm worried about with it. So otherwise, though, I'm looking forward to it. But if you guys don't got anything else, I think we can wrap this thing up. I'm pretty much covered on it. All right. Well then, Rick, where can everybody find you online there, bud?
Gonna be Surikmet.
On
Find me on
I gotta
Instagram.
go
Follow
through
me.
on the Instagram.
Yep.
All right, John, it was good having you here on the first time on the show. So
Appreciate you guys having me. This is fun.
Yeah.
no, yeah, you'll have to come back on, especially if we get some more crazy DC news or something like that.
Yeah,
For
no
sure.
doubt.
Where can everybody find you online?
I'm
Anywhere?
actually over on Twitter. You can check out that Nightwing J_J there.
Well, there you go. And you can of course follow me at Sir Rob Bifo. Well, I don't really get on there much, but I'm there if you want to follow me. So, but that'll pretty much cover it for us, guys. Thanks for sticking around. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Please do that because YouTube, needs that in order for people to find our videos. It's not to make us feel good. It's just we need them for the videos to be found by people. That's pretty much it. And then if you want to submit topics or questions to the show, you can do so by emailing us at honestanduneducated@gmail.com. That's honestanduneducated@gmail.com. So with that, guys, that's it. I'm Rob Bifo. Take care.